their mans, yeah, they need some fucking attending.
Fuck your chicken strips.
Think you're pretty? Take a hike. All you bitches are alike. Thumbs on only, dislike. Think you're cute? Yikes, yikes. Too much makeup? Here's a wipe. You don't see me when I strike. Execute you like a pike. I'll take pity on you, psych. It's fucking silent now. I see you decide to shut your mouth. Ever since your efforts went south, ever since you tried to king me down, your lips are covered in brown by all that shit that you shout. Someone get this bitch a towel. I beg you, please go take a shower. I see who you are in DMs, gonna make me step up over and over again. Then I see you on Twitter, covering up you're a fucking sinner. Scout for drama like a quitter, fake messages, oh go figure. Go the fuck to sleep like I'm your fucking babysitter. Fake ass bitch, do anything for a click. Switch your narrative where it fits. You see success, you cannot resist, no. Come on, bro, you always be cracking shitty jokes. But when I call you out on what you don't know, you freeze up like the fucking snow. Are you really trying to start some shit? Did your head get hit by a 1,000-pound brick? Are you banking on your moans and models are oh so hot? Is all of the bullets in your goddamn block? You take shit too seriously, you act so imperiously, you're talking deliriously, you're getting used mysteriously, you're lying so hideously, you're treating so unfairly, your popularity is a fucking conspiracy. I ain't playing no games, but they call me Eldon the way I get these rings. I don't need to plagiarize to get all the guys stepping up to me will be your demise. Brain the size of a gnat, permanently on lag, streaming out of a shag. You're stinky, you're sweaty like that part underneath the nutsack. Hold up, this is an educational scene. Let me try to go 5 seconds without saying please. I can be a top or a bottom like the ice caps. When you see the homie hit him with a dab, my ass thick like the earth's fucking mantle. We live in luxury, gold Ashford Castle. You are the working bee, I am the queen. You a bottom feeder, I am the cheetah. You tryna make the money, but I got all the fucking honey. Ayy, fake ass bitch, do anything for a click. Switch your narrative where it fits. You see success, you cannot resist, no. Come on, bro, you always be cracking shitty jokes. But when I call you out on what you don't know, you freeze up like the fucking snow. I can't take it anymore, you make my ears go sore. Acting like a sugar show, fucking macchiato. Thanks for putting on a show with an all-time low. You reap what you sow, only care about the dough. Bitch, you did the cocoa, but you can't get a hoe. Missing your free throw, flipping shit judo. Here's why you're so low, can't seem to let go. Is the shit that comes out your mouth hard to swallow? I ain't playing no games, but they call me Eldon the way I get these rings. I don't need to plagiarize to get all the guys. All your fake ass cries made me wanna fucking die. Damn, that shit really sucked. Back when I thought I really did something, but now I can see I'm changing, I'm growing, I'm blossoming. It's so easy to discredit my honest work. Too easy to let those comments just lurk. Fuck it, I won't be a puppet. I will not be lumped in with those who just fake it. Don't need that engagement, cause my entertainment is not a containment. And to my amazement, went from Havana to Nadomai. Yo, hello! Welcome in, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Hello, hello, hello. Yo, hello, hello. Yo, hello, hello. Welcome in, welcome in. It is a Turds Day, everybody. Turds Day. I hope you all had your daily turd. I mean, I hope you have a daily turd, but you know, if you don't, then I hope you did turd today, because that's important. It's Turds Day, all right? If there's any day to turd, it's today. Anyway, how's everyone doing? Welcome in, welcome in. Very excited because today we have the cute and creepy and wonderful Cinna, TheCinnaRoll. Please make sure you check Cinna out. I've got Cinna's YouTube link thingy in the description, as well as Cinna's card for all of Cinna's other links, including Twitter and Twitch. Twitch is where Cinna's mainly active, so please make sure you check out Cinna. Cinna has some really big announcements coming up. I won't spoil it, obviously, but a lot of big and cool things happening on Cinna's side. So I'm super excited to be doing something with Cinna today, obviously, and excited for Cinna to be, you know, hitting some new milestones in the VTuber journey. Okay, let's go. Anyway, thank you everybody for being here. I hope everyone's having a great day. Okay. All right, let me catch up on chat. My bad. Also, if you guys don't know, I know that like the last time I did a Creative Kōri was quite a while ago. So if any of you don't know what a Creative Kōri is, basically I'll be looking at Cinna's works and we'll just kind of be like having a conversation, hanging out. In the past, when I've done it with other friends of the show like Barbie, we would kind of share our poems with each other. So Barbie would do a poem and then I would do a podium, yes. English major here. Anyway, but yeah, so that's what we used to do in the past. I know, depending on the stream, we'll continue doing things like that. But I think for this stream, we're going to be solely focused on Cinna's works today, since they're a little bit of a longer form, kind of like shorter story kind of deal. So I won't be sharing anything today, but I will be having, you know, respectful conversations and critiques and compliments and whatnot with Cinna. And we get to hear Cinna's wonderful stories. So I'm really excited about that. For those of you who don't know, I have a degree in English with an emphasis in creative writing. So I am kind of professionally trained. Okay, I kind of can say that I know what I'm doing when it has to do with writing. But that's it, okay? You ask me what 2 + 2 is, and I will start sweating down my butt cheeks. So don't ask me that. Anyway, but yes, that's how we doing it today. I'm excited. I love reading things, obviously. I mean, obviously, but yeah. So we've got 2 different kinds of works today from Cinna. We've got a horror kind of work, which we will have a little bit of a trigger warning for. And then we've also got a more like wholesome work as well from Cinna. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the variety of genres. I'm excited to see the writing style. I do remember reading something of Cinna's, like a little bit of an excerpt of it, like a really long time ago. But I was definitely impressed, and I'm excited to be reading some more of Cinna's works today. So yeah. So. By the way, speaking of which, let me get my freaking notepad out, because I probably will be taking like notes and stuff while... Where is my notepad? All these like papers and crap. I have like small things, but I have like a bigger notepad and I don't know where it went. I could have sworn I had it over here. Look at, I'm so organized, everybody. I have this notebook, which I guess we'll have to do. Is it empty? Oh, it is empty. Okay, cool. All right, I have a notebook. That's cool. Cause I can't do it with like, I need a notebook. All right, where's my pen? All right, I'm ready. Okay, we're ready to freaking
you know, check shit out. All right. Okay. I'm old school. I like to write it out. Also, I feel like when I type, I'm super freaking loud. So, so I feel like when I type, like, I don't want anyone to hear me typing. I feel like it's so disrespectful to hear that. But anyway, yes. Okay. Let me catch up on chat. Sorry. Hello. Welcome in. Welcome in. Hey, Santa. Okay. Got you on my screen over here. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm not looking. Okay. Looking. I'm just kidding. Anyway, hello, Ivy. Nice to see you. Hello, hello. How you doing? How you doing? What's up? What's up? What's up? Thank you, Mitchie. Thank you for the lyric. I appreciate it. Yeah, there's like these weird like emoji things, by the way, that I can like do myself on the stream. I don't know if you guys see that, but I'm throwing some hearts up in the air. Anyway, yes. Hello, howdy. Hey, howdy doodle doo. All right. Hello, Verity. Nice to see you. Hello, hello. Yeah, these emojis are very interesting. They're also kind of distracting. Like, I'm kind of surprised that they added this because I feel like I don't know, it's like a lot. It catches my eye, you know what I mean? So, yo, gamers, what's up, Barnaby? Welcome in, welcome in. I've never used a YouTube app to watch a stream. I feel that, honestly. I don't think I've done that either. It's so bad. I don't know if it's just me, but like the YouTube app is pretty, I don't know. I can never find where the live chat is. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, so I don't even bother. Anyway, hello, Mr. G, by the way. Hi. Nice to see you. How you doing? Missing the time already. Hello, Serenity. The timer came back. Don't worry. Every stream. All right. Hello. Welcome in. Hello. Enjoying the music. Yay. Thank you. The Kōri music. I appreciate it, y'all. Yo, hello. Yes. 3-pointer turns. Stop. BRB got a turn, right? How are you doing up to the compliment stream yesterday? Thank you for asking, Barbie. You're so sweet. I'm exhausted. I'm very tired. I mean, like, I love seeing all these new designs and the creativity, like, things that, like, I would have never thought of, you know? There's so many, like, little nuances with the designs that I absolutely, like, adored. And I don't know, it tells a lot about, like, the people behind the designs, too, and I think that's really cool. So, of course, like, I love doing it. Don't get me wrong, but it's very, like, tiring because it's, like, pretty much, like, talking for, like, 5 hours straight. And, like, you know, obviously it's tiring in the sense that, like, not that this is a bad thing, but like I have to like look at every single design. I want to make sure I'm giving enough love and time to each one as equally as I can. So I'm always like, okay, wait, how many did I say? You know, like accounting almost, and like making sure, okay, how long have I been on this one? You know, like things like that, and like obviously reacting to chat, and yeah, there's a lot of elements that can tire a person out, I think, with these kind of streams. But it's all worthwhile, obviously, and I appreciate everybody who submitted, and I give them big props for obviously putting themselves out there. And I think one thing that surprised me this past stream was that I actually had somebody say they felt more comfortable posting their PNG on this kind of thread versus a like smash or pass or what have you thread, because I guess that's like the trend right now is doing like smash or pass, and I've never, I don't know. I'm not like an NSFW streamer per se, but I'm also like, I curse a lot and I talk about poop. So I don't know what that categorizes me as, but anyway. But yeah, I feel like it was kind of like, in a way, heartwarming. Like, oh, you feel like, I'm glad that people feel like they can be, or feel like they can, you know, share their image here. You know, it's always a good sign. So, yeah. That's pretty much how that's something that I was happy about in the this previous round. But we had a lot of entries. I remember posting it and I was like, no one's gonna enter. And then like the next day happened. Like I slept and I woke up and it was like 130 comments and I was like, what? But yeah, it's a good problem to have, obviously. Anyway, but I am exhausted. It's been a really long couple of days. So yes. Emphasis is yes. Hello, Nanika. Nice to see you. Hello, welcome in. How you doing, peekaboo? Sorry, I was like peekaboo. But no, I'm just kidding. I'm messing. You're not that. Anyway, first time catching you from the very beginning, so I wasn't expecting that yelling. That's how it goes. I'm very sorry. I apologize. No, I don't apologize. But yes, that is how it goes. We get down and ready to clown. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, I gotta close some things here. Okay. Anyway, sorry. I like writing notes old school too, but I'm such a slow writer. I have to type notes, otherwise I take forever. Oh, I feel that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh wait, sorry. Excited to see more streams. Thank you, Ivy. Heck yes. Thank you for saying so. And your birthday's coming up, right? So freaking happy early birthday. Very excited for that. I know you've been seeing me dancing over there at the stream. I know. It's like, let's go. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, Cinna. I don't know why I'm kind of lagging. Which is weird. Like, it's like in and out of lag. I feel like it's the YouTube chat. It's like this chat is not optimized. All right, let me see. I figured you'd be tired. Bless you, though. You did your freaking best. Thank you, Barbie. There's VTuber Smasher Pass. That's a little, yeah, Smasher Pass is the trend right now. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. It is a little bit, you know, because I would assume, like, Smasher Pass would insinuate that, you know, an NSFW kind of thing, like, minors do not engage, right? Because it's like, smash means, like, you know, so I'm just saying. But anyway, I don't think that, like, minors should engage with my content necessarily, but I'm also, like, I don't know, I think it's just the cursing, so, let's see, degrading, right? Yeah, it is kind of degrading, because if somebody passes, then, like, it sounds like you're trying to weigh out, like, you know, it's just kind of negative for sure. I personally like the compliment streams more. It feels more inviting for anyone new to the VTuber space. That's true. I agree with that. But they are I don't think I've seen that many people do compliment, like, streams. I've seen people do, like, one or two compliment, like, posts in the past. But I think, like, the streams are so difficult, which is why people don't do it. Because, like, it's just so, like, there's a lot that comes in and it can get really tiring. And it's also just not a good representation of, like, my content or, like, your content, you know what I mean? Because, like, it's not every day that you're doing this, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Nothing else. Waking up to 100 responses means you have pretty good reach. Yes, that's true. Thank you. Let's see. Let's go. I'm doing good. No, it's a running joke between my mom and I that I am indeed. Let's go. Hi, let's go. We have the homies. I'm all about cursed and gremlin life, but this persona isn't meant for an NSFW, like, Smasher Pass. You're even inspired a spin-off that I want to do in the future as one of my first projects. Oh my gosh, that's so sweet for you to say. I am honored to be something that could inspire you. I am absolutely honored. And heck yeah, keep doing those cool things, all right? Keep working on those projects and being happy with the things that you do. That's like that's the most bestest thing that you could do, okay, is being happy with your content. It would insinuate you pass on some people. LOL, it's just asking for hurt feelings. That's true. I do a pass. Of course you would. She was the first compliment stream I ever saw and decided to put myself out there for once. Right, yeah, I remember you saying that you've never like entered your PNG anywhere and that was your first time. Heck yeah. No, that's so great. So there's a reason dating apps don't outright tell you when someone swipes left on you. You only get match notifications. That's true. Yeah, I don't know which is left or right. I don't know either. I don't even know my left or right, so gotta go home and I'll try to catch you two and come. Thank you, Mr. G. See you later. Thank you. I don't get match notifications, so I know everyone's swipes left. Poor Rubik's. I'm sorry, Rubik's. Aww. I mean, maybe that's good. Maybe you don't have your phone blowing up and distracting you from your Minecraft game, all right? That's more important. Is your League of Legends Minecraft. Anyway, all right, let me start getting into the stream. All right, I know everyone wants to hang out with Cinna, as do I. All right, thank you, Cinna, for being so patient with me. But yeah, thank everyone for being here. Again, we're going to be doing a Creative Kōri stream today, a literature study stream today, and I'm super excited. And we'll be looking at Cinna's works and just having a good old time. I'm ready to write some notes in chat, okay? Feel free to, you know, obviously post your thoughts and ideas. Anything that you say should obviously be encouraging, you know, whatever Sinnoh wants to portray, whatever Sinnoh wants to highlights and overarching ideas, or not ideas, but I guess overarching plot and feelings and settings and whatnot of the story. Those are things that if you feel like there could be something to improve on, feel free to mention it. And as I always say, let's like continue to be respectful, and we have to give Sinnoh huge props for being open to doing this stream and having us look at their beautiful stories. Okay, so that takes a lot of courage, and we all respect that. We love that, and yeah, so I'm excited to be doing that today. But yeah, let me see here. So let me ping Sinnoh that we're gonna how do I spell this? All right, okay. So yes, but thank you, Sinnoh, so much for doing the stream with us. We're really excited. And yes, everyone, please be respectful. Feel free to comment your thoughts and ideas and things that you liked, things that you feel like you want to see more of, for example. Feel free to do things like that. It's very much appreciated. I will be doing the same. But yeah, okay, here we go. All right, let me switch over. We're going to see Sinnoh's beautiful model in just a second here. All right, here, wait, let me just make sure that everything is working. Everything is working. All right, let me do that, and let me do this. I don't think I have any announcements. I am streaming on Saturday, but I don't know what I'm streaming at. So, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I am streaming on Saturday. So, and I'll be streaming on Saturday at 3 p.m. PST, which I think is like 6 p.m. EST. Just a heads up. I stream a little bit earlier on the weekends. Okay, sorry, just making sure that goes away. All right, we're gonna be going over and hanging out with Sinnoh. How do I do this? Okay, here we go. All right. Ba 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 ba. I expected. I saw your lips moving, and you looked like you were jamming, and I was like, okay, what's Sinnoh up to over here, huh?
I was singing like the da 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 da.
Oh my gosh, stop. Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me Hazukashi, my Kokoro, Doki Doki Des, okay.
Doki doki.
Oh my gosh, you hit that. Let's go. Yes, everybody welcome in Sinnoh. Feel free to Sinnoh, introduce yourself. Let's go. Come on, give us the rundown. What's Sinnoh up to? What Sinnoh likes, all that.
Well, hello. My name is TheCinnaRoll. I am a living TheCinnaRoll VTuber and totally not anything else suspicious. Wink wonk, wink wonk. Wait, wink wonk, wonk. I am a variety streamer. I primarily love horror games, though I will, of course, stream many different things. From Minecraft to Red Dead to Dead Space, you name it. I've probably played it, I have it, or I want to play it. And beyond just playing video games, I do just chatting streams, and of course I'm planning more fun streams, like community nights and stuff. So, yeah.
Let's go. Heck
I
yeah.
love ready for uppies. Like, up.
Aw, look at that, the T-pose. Wait, give us some of the expressions, because you've got some really nice expressions for this little gremlin model.
Oh, I love this model. Two friends pitched in and got this for me as a Christmas gift.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah. So we have angry and mad at you. Baka. I get a little cheek puff with it too, like.
I know, that's so cute.
This one is the blush. Blushy washies. This one is confusion.
Oh my gosh! That's so cute!
This one I really like. Beady eyes.
I
love that one.
I remember you used that when you're playing my game, and then we had the fart joke at the very someone was pooping at the very you're like, I was joking about the fart joke, and then it became real.
That's what's so funny to me. That I was literally joking and that became real. That was the last thing I ever expected.
It's so great. It was
Oh, God.
beautiful.
I expected a poop joke, just not that early in.
Heck yeah.
This one is like, it brings the eyebrows down, kind of like a little somber almost, a little like, it can be like really emotional and touching kind of face, or if I like frown, it can be all sad.
Aww, no sad. Who made Cinna sad?
This one is this. I don't get to use this one a lot, but it's like smug eyes.
Yeah. Okay. Mhm.
I don't use that one a whole lot because like I just kind of look smug regularly.
True. True.
This is of course the T pose. the
Yeah.
ah, ah. We got the ooh eyes.
Yeah.
And then we got the rawr,
The
little
RAR
side
XD.
rawr XD. Ooh, top design.
Ah, the cringe.
Yeah, I got Kōri's tiara on me, Barbie.
Oh yes, sorry, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, I know. Like, it's so cute.
I once upon a time drew Kōri as a dessert in my background because I have like a
Yeah.
little background cafe. So I drew Kōri as a dessert to be put in the display case for the background, and I took the crown off the display and it was like, this is mine now.
It looks so
So now
good
I
on
have to
you.
look at
Yeah.
I really love your crown. It's like the most unique crown I've ever seen for a VTuber.
Oh,
Most
thank
VTubers
you.
have like the very simple crown, which is
Mm.
nothing wrong with it. Still very pretty crowns. I like that yours is so unique though, it pops.
Thank you. Thank you. And this isn't about me. No compliments.
Oh no, you already did a whole compliment stream, so now you get compliments.
No, I refuse.
No,
But thank you,
have
thank
to.
you. But this is about you, Cinna. All right, I'm ready. I got my notebook. I got my pen. Okay, I'm like I've been thinking about this all week. I wanna read your stories. Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
Let me hold on we're doing the creepy one first. So let me get the trigger warning out.
Trigger warning.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, I do love horror. Of course, though, there is a trigger warning. Very open with you guys. This is from the perspective of a stalker. That is what this little excerpt is from. It is, of course, meant to be horrific and, you know, certain things like you see obsessive behavior, delusions, sexual implications. It's not graphic by any means. It is not graphic by any means, but it is important to know that those are in there because I know those can be very triggering. And if anybody's had to go through anything with a stalker or anything, that can cause like probably some very heavy discomfort and emotional trauma to come back. And I completely understand that if you don't want to like listen to the story. So if you
Mhm.
need to step out, feel free to.
Hold on, Cinna. Wait, I'm gonna hide you real quick on the stream because I need to adjust your volume. Give me 1 second,
it.
y'all. Where are you? Okay, because I know it does this stupid thing where I can't see you. Right, how do I do this? Oh my god, I hate Discord.
Don't mind me, I'm off in the ether.
Wait, say something, Cinna. Speak, Cinna.
I'm in your walls, I'm in your walls, I'm in your
Oh
walls.
dang it, I can't do it from here. What the heck? I'm trying to turn you up, but I don't know how because you're sharing your screen. Oh wait, here we go.
That might turn me up now.
Oh, I
there
got
we
it.
go.
I got it. Okay, wait. I turned. Okay, wait. Go ahead and speak. How's this mod? Go ahead, Miss Tina.
I'm in your walls, back.
On your walls. Okay.
Hey,
All right.
there's a pack of chips in here. Where have you been hiding these?
Yeah. There we go. Okay. How was that mod? I think that should be good. Let me pin this as well. All right. Message pinned. There we go.
Yippee! She's in the wall. Okay.
All right, cool. Pin the message. We're all good. We got the trigger warning. Okay, so Cinna, how do you want to? Let me look at this real quick. I didn't look at this too super duper much, but let me. Sorry, I got to move my screens around. Okay, so we got 3 pages here. We could just do, I guess, the whole thing, and then like, and then
We can
talk
read
about it.
and then talk about it and move on to the next one, is what I was thinking we could do.
Okay.
So we can have discussions over after we finish this one, like see what everybody's critiques are, what your critiques are, and everything.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, so the way that we do these is we have the author read them.
Ah.
Yeah, so just so that way we can hear how you, obviously you're the author, so how you wanted to write it, how you wanted certain emotions and words to sound and get across, right? So we'll have you read it, and then we can discuss it. I think it would be interesting to also like have me do a read to see like how I like to, so that way you can hear how like someone else would read your story. Just because like when I was in my class, like it was always interesting to hear like other people emphasize other like different things that I didn't emphasize. So it's kind of interesting to hear. But it's up to you. We don't have to do that. But
I'm down with that. I'm
Okay.
down with that.
Okay.
I think I'd like to see your perspective on the more like wholesome read, honestly.
Okay. Heck yeah. Sounds
'Cause
good.
I think with this one, I can already get a beat on what most people would probably get with this one, because it's very like straightforward. I would like to see the more wholesome one simply because that's different and it's a little bit more. There can be more variety there.
Okay. Sounds good. So I see that this is a chapter 4. Is there any like background information that you want to fill us in that you feel like is necessary?
Okay, so this was a story I was writing late in like when I was about to graduate high school, basically. This was me. I had messed around a whole lot with writing in high school, and I very much loved horror stories, and I was messing around trying to write different ones, and this was one of the ones I was writing. So this was chapter 4 of a story called Bloodstained Angel. And basically the whole premise of the story is you have the main protagonist, who is Zoe, who is uh you know a young adult. She's troubled. She's kind of the kind of person that you see masking a lot in front of other people so she can fit in and get by, and she has like a high reputation and everything, but she's not really like that. She's very much just wants to keep to herself. She dislikes most of the people she knows and all that. And our main antagonist here is somebody from her past who uh basically she helped them, basically pretty much saved them. uh and she basically, this person got obsessive over her and could see she was faking it, so they pretty much became obsessed, delusional, and they started to view the people, because they knew each other from high school. He viewed the people from high school that used to bully him, that Zoe hung out with, as demons, and then Zoe as an angel who just wore a mask to get by and survive. That's what this is. So you have this intense stalker who does have a tragic past, but it's not like an excusable thing for like what he's doing and how he is. Like, you are meant to like look at this dude and be like, it's supposed to be like maybe a little bit pity, but a lot of no still.
Oh yeah, 100%. Okay. Got it. Thank you. Sounds good. Okay, so whenever you're ready, you can start reading. I'm following along on the stream. Are you have it on your side, right?
Oh yeah, I have it up on my side. I figured we need it.
Yeah.
On my side.
Yes. Okay, great. All right, cool. We're ready to go whenever you're ready.
Okay. Blood. There's blood everywhere in the tub. It's filled to the brim with blood. The smell was absolutely awful. But at least I'll take great joy in what I'm about to do. I spent the last few hours preparing to dispose of this demon's corpse. So far, I have a hacksaw at the ready. This tool should be enough, right? I need to hack this thing apart and scatter its body parts. I'm going to be so happy when I do this. This demon has been on my list since we were in high school. This horrible demon had been terrorizing its classmates for years, making them apologize to her by taking quite vicious beatings. I've actually seen it happen once before, when she beat a girl because she wouldn't let her cheat off a test. The demon was going to fail unless she cheated, and when that girl said she wasn't going to let her, she was absolutely livid. That poor girl. She had tried to cheat off. uh, she had tried to cheat off of, got a brutal beating. She screamed and tried to call for help, but no matter how much she begged, no one came to her rescue. That sweet girl never made it through the year. She took her own life after about half a year of torment. I remember how I had heard it and how I saw it, how I hated every second of it. I wanted to help so badly, but I couldn't. I was too weak, too scared, too far down the same path myself to be of any help. I've wanted revenge for that girl ever since that day, and I finally got it. I finally got revenge for that girl by killing this demon. I believe this demon's name is Kia, if I remember right. Such a pretty name wasted on this one. I'm so glad that she's gone. She'll never bother anyone ever again. Not an innocent girl, child, not even my beloved angel will be hurt by her ever again. Without a second despair, I reach over and grab the hacksaw and started my bloody work. By the time I finished, it was 5 in the morning. So tired. All I wanted to do was sleep. But I need to finish what I started. I did all I could before burying part of it out back in the woods, and the rest shall be stored away for disposing of later. With this, life shall grow from the body of the corrupted dead. I took the time I had afterwards to bathe myself till all the remnants of my past actions were gone. It feels so good to have my body clean and not smeared with blood and dirt. The only thing I can think of that could be better than the shower would be if I had my beloved angel in my arms right now. Her bare alabaster skin against mine would be the most satisfying feeling in the world. I could die happy if that happened, and I pray to God himself that it will. My sweet angel, I just want you to be right here beside me. I don't even want to finish my shower right now. I just have to see her beautiful face. I quickly dried myself and made my way to my bedroom. When I got into the room, I ran over and flung open the doors to my walk-in closet. Once I flung it open, I came face to face with my collection. The walls were covered with her photos, and on the shelves inside were littered with special knickknacks I had of her. It filled me with a great sense of joy to see it all. My heartbeat sped up, and I could feel a slight blush come to my face. She's so wonderful and precious. How could something so wonderful exist among demons and associate with them? How could something that seemed so fragile and weak learn to be strong enough to wear a mask around them? Oh, how such things about her intrigue me. I decided I couldn't stand just being in a doorway. I had to touch something of hers. Anything would do. I just wanted to feel close to her again. I walked slowly up to a shelf holding a pink ribbon. She used to put her hair up with this ribbon. I picked it up and brought it to my lips to kiss it. Oh, how I love her so much. Something like this makes me feel so close to her. As close as when I saved her yesterday from a demon. That horrible demon wanted to hurt her. He wanted to take her precious flower away. I couldn't allow that. Not one bit. The only person allowed to take it was me, and me alone. Nobody else could have it. Nobody else would treasure it like I would treasure it. Nobody else could want it like I did. Absolutely nobody could. I swear with God as my witness, she's the only one for me. And I know that I'm the only one for her. I placed the ribbon that I had in my hand back on the shelf, and then made my way to the wall. It was completely covered with her photos. She looked so beautiful in each and every one. I gently placed my head on the wall and continued to admire the photos I had. I just love her so much. There's not a more beautiful soul, and I know that she'll love me too one day. My beloved, dear angel Zoe. End scene.
Yay! Woo! So good. Oh my gosh, this is so awesome.
Thank you. I tried to make sure I gave it the feeling of a creepy, creepy dude.
Yeah, yeah. That's really neat. So like kind of like just to piggyback on that thought of like creepy dude. Like when you're reading, I definitely felt like, you know, I don't know, I like I felt like this almost like, how do I explain it? There's different kinds of like evil in villains, right? And I feel like in the way that you're reading it, it felt almost like a breezy haze, like nonchalant kind of evil. And sometimes that's the most scariest ones, right? Because they're like, they don't even like, they're just like, this is another day. Like, this is just every day that I get to be a god and decide like people can die. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very like twisted way to think about it. But if I may ask, like, so how do you, like, what do you feel like makes like a creepy character? Like, and like, so say what your answer is for that, and then like,
What do I-
yeah, and then I'll ask the next question. So you can say how you feel about that. Sorry, I'll ask that question first to not bombard you.
It's okay. It's okay. What I feel like makes a creepy character, there's many different ways to build a creepy character, from just simply just something monstrous being described to uh, just something as simple as their personality. For me personally, I I love fantasy horror and stuff. I love horror that has monsters and stuff, but it hits a certain point for me that really gets a shiver down my spine when it's more realistic. So for me, when it comes to making a good horror character that people can be scared of, I like it when you give them like a very human personality, but at the same time a very inhuman personality, complex feelings, complex thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you question a little bit, not what they say, because they may say things and you're like, wait, no, I kind of agree with that. No, that's not okay. I don't like that. I don't like that I'm agreeing with you. It's
Right.
that sort of thing. I
Mm-hmm.
like when you give complexities like that to characters, especially antagonists that are like this. Because obviously this dude is horrible, but in the little bit I had written of this story, you were supposed to, in a way, almost be charmed by him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's supposed to be somewhat charming, and some of the things he says are supposed to be like you're supposed to resonate with a little bit. But then, of course, underneath he is a horrible, horrible person and a stalker and a predator and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, giving a villain a human-like personality is what makes them scarier, in my opinion.
Nice. And like those complex feelings and thoughts, right? Like you said.
Yeah, it's the ones that can resonate with readers.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously this doesn't resonate with readers, but like probably the only thing in this that could be resonating with people is the hatred for people who mistreat others.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I mean, I resonate with this idea of like, you know, I think like in this situation, I almost feel like I resonate with the idea of like having to deal or like seeing people as like demons and angels. Like in a lot of ways, like those are things like I used to actually think when I was like in elementary school. I was like, this bully is a demon. and and like so I had those thoughts definitely like, you know, when I was younger. And I feel like I think definitely a feeling that I get like when I'm reading this kind of analogy of like demon and angel, and especially when it has to do with like bullying of some type or you know, having to put, you know, make face for people that don't deserve it. So
Yeah.
my follow up question is. So you answered realistic, you know, as far as what makes a creepy character, it being realistic, having complex feelings and thoughts. Um, can you like tell me about like when you were creating this character here, like what were some things that you felt like were must haves in order to kind of create that creepiness, or alternatively, like if you could show me or read out specific lines that stood out to you where you felt like you were writing like about that kind of like what your definition of creepy is.
Uh, but my definition of creepy for him, I want this was like a simple thing where you like the story was meant to switch between point of views, and
Mm-hmm.
like you see at the top like there's question marks by the point of view that's supposed to be
Mm.
like you don't know whose point of view this is. You just know it's somebody that's not good. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, like it switches between the protagonist and his,
Mm.
and there are must-haves for his personality I wanted that aren't all, you know, in this chapter where you just get a little glimpse of him pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
But uh, there's supposed to be things like he's supposed to be very charming, but also blunt and to the point, passive
Mm.
aggressive almost
Mm.
in a way when he's dealing with people, and he's not like you know trying to hide who he is. Uh, Also, I wanted things like he's supposed to have like somewhat pitiful moments that you can relate to, like coming from a bad household and uh, uh, certain like grasping onto religion and stuff. And that's nothing against religion. This is not meant to be like a critique on any religion on any in any case.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be like this is how it's because he's attached to his religion in an unhealthy way that he views the world the way it is. That is nothing against any religion or critiquing any religion. That's just like, this is an unwell person, and they've taken their beliefs to the extreme, to the point that
Okay.
they start viewing the world instead of like, you know how we grow up and we see the world in grays, and we can see obviously good and bad situations, but we can see situations where it's kind of gray. It's not really a good or bad thing. It's just kind of there. Well, he doesn't really see the world in like grays anymore. It's a lot of black and white for him.
Mm-hmm.
So it must be things like that. Like he has complex emotions you can relate to, feelings, thoughts, and then you see his extreme mindset too that you can't really relate to because it's so extreme and drastic.
Yeah.
And to further go on his creepiness, uh, the things that I felt like really represented how intense and extreme he is has to be like how the sentences where you would see him refer to Zoe as like an angel.
Mm-hmm.
He refers to her as an angel. He talks to her in like certain ways, uses certain descriptions for her, like precious, describes her uh, like as a flower. He basically talks about her skin is like alabaster skin, like obviously very poetic like about her.
Right.
And I feel like that's creepy because yes, while somebody can talk about somebody they admire or like or have romantic feelings with in a poetic way, uh, the context of this situation makes it very unsettling because to me it's terrifying to think of somebody who cares about someone so much but in such an unhealthy way that they aren't even really self-aware of it, of how bad
Mm.
it is. That is to me the creepiest factor in this chapter from the lines.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
like, yeah, that has to be like what I say where the must-haves he need to have in the little bits and tidbits in this chapter for like what makes him him.
Yeah. For sure. Nice. So I mean, I guess to start off, like I really love like what you brought up, the alabaster skin. Like that was so pretty. Like it's just a very like rolls off the tongue, great phonetic. I don't know how to whatever. I'm an English major. I know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but you know, like it sounds like really. It's just it's great. It's a great line there. I love like just the even without the way that you were reading it, I felt like that kind of like as I said that like this is just another day and this is like a part of my life. Like I can take in I can take what I want, and I'm taking like these people's lives, and it's very like almost like nonchalantly like this is what they have to do. It's almost like a chore, you know what I mean? Like here we go again. I wanted to.
It's no different from doing the dishes.
Right, exactly. So I definitely got that like feeling, not just from like your reading, obviously that helped, but even like as I was reading the words itself. So I think you did a really great job with just kind of like the pacing is really great, of like all these sentences in here, and I really liked the kind of like descriptions of like I love how we're kind of in this scene we're going through the motions of kind of like it seems like they're cleaning something up, right? A corpse and all that, right? And then just kind of going about their day like it was pretty normal after
They're
that.
reminiscing while they do their quote unquote chores.
Right, exactly. And then I loved like that moment where, I don't even want to finish my shower right now. Like I just want to, be with my sweet angel, and this like
The impatience.
yeah, the urgency is like very powerful here, and it's very creepy that it's like so urgent. Like I don't even want to take my shit. I'm gonna just go. I'm just gonna go and sniff this ribbon. You know what I mean? And obviously,
Yeah,
like, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's like one of the biggest things is like I wanted that sentence to show like how intense his obsession with her is beyond just how he views her.
Right.
It's how he wants to be so physically close to her as well. It's like the whole thing of like I want to be right by her. I want to like hold her hand constantly. I want to like constantly feel her skin against my skin. Her warmth is amazing, sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad that sentence was able to like portray that sort of urgency he feels.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I just love like the part where we get to, you know, the walls are covered, you know, we go to the closet, and I know at this point I'm like, oh no, because I'm like, I already have a feeling I know it's in the closet, and then sure enough, you know, and then sure enough, they open up the closet, and there's the photos and the special knickknacks, right? And I feel like, yeah, it's a whole shrine and stuff like that. I'm like, oh no. Yeah, I really love that moment too. It's like a moment where like I expected it, but I also dreaded it at the same time, and I think that's like such a interesting feeling to get from like a story is like not wanting it but knowing it's coming, you know. It's a good.
I'm so glad I was able to get that, because I knew it was something very predictable that anybody could guess as soon as they saw the word closet. But I wanted to still be something that still unnerves you. It's like, ugh, I know it's coming, but ugh, I still hate it.
Yeah, right, absolutely. I think on that note, I feel like one thing, like, you know, as we're talking about this moment that feels like, you know, you wanted to harp on that emotion and you wanted that to happen. I kind of want more of this moment. Like, I kind of want more of like, okay, well, what does the walls, like, you know, look like? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? Like, did they buy the same kind of perfume that Zoe wears, and like has that in there as well? Like, something that like I do a lot, or I try to do with my writing, is like when I get into a new scene, especially one that I feel like I'm trying to elicit a particular emotion, I really like, I make it a point to try to use like as many of the five senses as I can to portray like the entire scenes, and obviously to use like little things like even something as simple as saying like perhaps like the difference between like the walls in the closet are very like clean and like perfect and well coordinated, versus like the room itself is like, you know, his room, like it's messy, there's still laundry that needs to be done, it smells like shit, you know, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, just to show like this contrast there. And then small things like talking about the alabaster skin, like that was a beautiful line, and I think it's something that I would have loved to see a little bit more of. Like, when we're talking about, this is just an example, we're talking about like pink ribbon, right? I know that pink is definitely like a color of like that represents like innocence or something like that.
Innocence, purity, femininity, you know, all those nice things.
Right, exactly. And I wonder if, like, you know, obviously I think like using the color pink is fine. But like, what if there was something else that could follow up like pink, or have it before pink? Like, this is a bad example, but like purely pink ribbon, or pure pink ribbon, or just like a pink ribbon with like lace on it, like as if the lace is like representing some like lust, right? So like having like,
oh, that's good. I didn't think of that.
So having like little, like, it's not just a pink ribbon like this, and obviously we're seeing it from their perspective, so at least I'm right, we're in the first point of view.
Yeah, first point of view.
Right, so like I'd almost want to see it like exactly how they're experiencing it, which is like the creepy part, right? Because they're like, to us, like, we're reading pink ribbon, but to them they're like, this is a pink ribbon that was like, you know, up in her hair. I can like feel the locks, like her hair, her silky hair locks, like in my hand as I caress the ribbon, and like using like that kind of word like caress and lust, like that, those lustful thoughts of like want and obsession, whenever like he's holding or witnessing like things that were connected to her. So I think having more like imagery like that, and just like kind of having like basking in this moment where you want the reader, like, the, you know, like the reader expects it, dreads it, and like, I don't want to sit in this moment, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
but forced me to sit in this moment, because like you want me to feel this emotion, you want me to soak in this moment, like force me to sit here and be uncomfortable, because that's like part of like what being creepy is. It's just being like annoyingly uncomfortable. So
Okay,
yeah.
I see what you're going for. I think that would be great, because I will admit, with my writing, I get so caught up in writing the feelings of the character, I forget I should add more detail, like, how does it smell? How does this feel, actually? What's a little bit more description I can use? What's a better word I can use? I get so caught up in portraying the character's feelings that I forget that I need to add more to like describe the environment more, the setting more, and everything. Like, it would be really good to add on to this, like the bedroom idea and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, certain areas of the house are super organized, and then certain areas are like super messy and stuff. Or like, again, like describing the ribbon as like it's covered in lace and stuff, because lace can be viewed as something pretty, but also something very sexual in nature.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, in like your description of like how he could almost in a way feel her hair while holding the ribbon in a way and all that nice jazz. I feel like that would be really good to add, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, just a suggestion. Obviously, like you don't ever. By the way, you don't have to follow anything that I say. These are just suggestions on ways that I feel like you can draw out the emotions that you're trying to, elicit. And like I don't know, I like to have like reoccurring motifs. So I think in like this one, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like in this story, it seems like the motif may be like these like religious figures, right? Like demons and angels, right? And we've kind of got
Yeah.
this like allegory, if you will, of like these characters representing these demons and angels, right?
Yeah.
So do you feel like they're like, just out of curiosity, you don't have to have an answer to this, but like, do you feel like there's anything else that you feel like you want to be like a common motif like within the story? And I know it's hard because we've only got this chapter, but like, if there's anything else that comes up in the other chapters, like that you can think of that you want to continue, a motif that feels like stays current like throughout all the story, or through a story.
Mm. For him, I know I want it to be constant, not just his creepiness, but his extremeness with like how he religiously and warped his view to see the world, like demons and angels and sort of thing. I do want
Mm-hmm.
with certain characters other things like Zoe herself inherently sees the worst in people first.
Mm-hmm.
Zoe is very distrusting. Zoe is very I want to say two-faced, but not in the sense of she is two-faced, but not in the sense of like she's gonna talk like shit behind your back. Two-faced in the way of she doesn't show you who she really is. That the real Zoe doesn't generally like people and stuff. That the real Zoe likes to be left alone. That the real Zoe is like an introvert and quite frankly is very rude and blunt and to the point most of the time. Instead of like all like proper and prim.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
like I guess almost in a way what the other motif I want to be is Zoe's faces she shows people. Like her public face and then her personal personality face, her real self.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I mean, I know that I'm biased, but I've always really liked characters that are like, in a sense, like two-faced, or like outwardly have an appearance like, but then their internal is like completely different. That's really nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Um,
I figured it'd be good for her since I wanted the environment she basically interacts with to be filled with people who are very open about being horrible. These are like openly horrible people. Like,
mm,
those people who have no shame whatsoever and lack self-awareness. So like to get by and survive in this social setting that's intense like that, uh, where these horrible people can thrive and nobody like stops them or anything, that she's adapted by acting like she's one of them.
oh, okay, that's interesting. Wait, let me write that down, because that's an interesting concept. Like that concept of like adaptation, and like almost like evolution, or like kill or be killed almost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the survival. What the frick is that called? Survival. Oh, wait. What is it?
It's like
Yeah.
survival of the fittest.
Right. There we go. Thank you. I'm not a biology major. Yeah, survival of the fittest. I like that idea. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry if I'm covering my camera. Okay. I like that idea because that's something that I feel like isn't that talked about. Like I don't read that often in like stories, especially when it has to do with like a situation like this, where
I
like,
feel like it's important to touch on that because, like,
yeah,
that sort of thing you do is like, I'm going to be quite honest, it's a trauma for Zoe.
right.
Zoe is traumatized from her time of having to fake who she is to get by. She either is with the majority of people who will get picked on, harassed by of course, the major group of bullies, or she can fake it till she makes it as one of them and then be herself when she's alone.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Like, this is a trauma for her, and it's an adaptation thing as well. It is something all people do when they are in tough situations in life. They adapt to their situation or they change it.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, it's adapting to your situation. And that's what Zoe did. She adapted to her environment.
Very nice. I feel like with that like in mind, you know, since we're talking about no, I'm covering myself. Since we're talking about like motifs and stuff like that, I kind of feel like I feel like it'd be really cool if you feel like it's something that you want to continue to have throughout the story. This idea of like adapting and the survival of the fittest kind of thing. Like I would almost want to see like some lines. Obviously, we don't seem to have that here in this chapter, but having like lines where when we are looking at Zoe's point of view of like, oh, I now have to switch back to, you know, this personality, or like I have to my survival instinct is kicking in, or my fight or flight is kicking in, but like rewording it to like my mask is back on, or something like that, you know, just like having these themes of almost like nature, like as if they're staring at a lion as a, I don't know, sheep, but they have to put on the lion mask. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I get what you mean.
yeah, I think that would be really cool. I think that's a really cool idea because, like, I don't think we talk about enough, like, the things that we have to do in order to deal with, like, our own trauma and whatnot. And a lot of it is really just, like, adapting to situations. And, like, sometimes we don't even realize that we are putting up a front. You know what I mean? Like, we don't even realize, like, that we're doing it because we're just trying to get through the situation.
Yeah, we're just trying to live.
All right, exactly. But that's a really cool concept that, you know, I would love to see, in, you know, whenever Zoe comes around and we're looking at her point of view. Something that
I do really want to do that, actually, like
yeah,
expand and see her point of view, because Zoe's anxiety is something special. I want to like write so you get these special like little feelings from it. Her anxiety is, of course, what you feel like. It's anxiety, but it's an angry anxiety. I want
mm-hmm,
that. Zoe is a very resentful, angry person. She's very logical, cold, and to the point, pretty much behind the scenes. She is not very actually. She of course feels emotions, but she's very cold, blunt, to the point, logical mostly. That is how she rolls. And whenever she has to put the mask on, she feels both anxious, like almost like she wants to vomit, kind of anxious, but she also feels extremely pissed off. Like she hates it every time she has to do it.
mm-hmm. Nice. That, yeah, I guess it would be cool to see like how those interactions look for sure. Like how she handles those interactions, and like I could imagine like a moment where she kind of slips up and maybe her voice cracks because she's like forcing herself too much, you know what I mean? And like what does that moment look like, and how does she handle that, you know? Because the last thing, like when you're anxious, the last thing you want to do is be even more like put in the uncomfortable situation that you're anxious about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'd be super curious to like see how that looks, you know.
I do want a scene like that if I do continue this story where like basically what I did have like little bullet points of what I wanted for sure in the story, of things that
Mhm.
were like for sure planned.
Yeah.
And one of them was I wanted a confrontation at a party. Because Zoe, of course, the bullies like to throw parties, and they invite Zoe out.
The popular kids, damn those popular kids.
Yeah, like a little bit stereotypical, but also like, you know, but the party's kind of like pretty much a setup for against Zoe, where the bullies come out and say all these murders, everybody that's been disappearing, it's all happened around you. Everything links back to you, and everybody
Ooh.
thinks there's something happening with you, uh, or there's something happening around you, and they're trying to get information from her basically. And
Ooh.
the mask, I want a moment where the mask just falls and Zoe gets absolutely livid beyond reason and goes full like balls to the walls, cussing everybody out. Full on snap moment. I'm tired of acting like I give a shit basically.
Yes. That'd be
And
awesome.
she even like a moment where she like throws her phone at them and says, check it, check the whole thing, go to the police and check it. I do not care. I am so done with this. I have done nothing, and yet life screws me over again and again, sort of thing. I want a
Mm-hmm.
moment like that where she's just like that, and she's just so open about it without a care, in pure fury and anger, like, you know, the whole look at the phone, I have nothing to hide, I have absolutely nothing to hide, I'm so tired of hiding everything.
Yeah. That's pretty dope. I like that. I think that'd be a really great like climactic point there for sure, because that feels like a very tense moment. Because like whenever like we talk about or talked about conflict in like my classes, it was always like you have to have like many like obviously like you don't want too many, but like the main ones are like internal and external conflict. And definitely like a lot of both right there, you know. A lot of both.
I like the mixture of both you can do with the horror genre, and I like it because what I want is you, while you're going through, can see the internal conflict just regularly in Zoe. Like you see it just on the regular. That's how she is. She's anxious. She overthinks often. She is very caught up in her anger. Like she has anger issues that have not been addressed, obviously. And but I also want you, of course, to see the external conflicts that just are happening around her and the build up in them. Like, oh, welcome to the scene with the party where everybody planned this to get information out of her.
Oh
and
yeah.
and of course, like, I want more climactic scenes. Like, I did even plan, like, at one point I was considering, like, I wonder how I would take the story if I made it to where eventually, you know, our stalker dude here, like, kidnaps her.
Ooh.
So,
Uh-oh.
like, climactic scene like that
Yeah.
would also be, like, I felt like it would be a good addition to the story. And, like, then you'll see the interactions between them. You'll see the interactions where even Zoe feels like complex emotions and unsure of the situation at moments, because again, obviously the dude's horrible, but what I want primarily is, again, those conflicting complex emotions from him, where like Zoe can see the trauma that shaped him, like the trauma that shaped her. You can see it and you can relate to it. You don't like that you can relate to it, but you can.
Yeah. Very nice. I almost wonder, like, so I relate to this idea of like everything kind of just like building up to a point where until everything like breaks basically, and like the facade is gone and whatnot. And like
the chipping away at the will.
Yeah, exactly. Because I had a story that I worked on that has a very similar motif there. And like something that I don't know if you want to use this, you don't have to, but like something that I really liked using in that story was these like I like allegories, but like that's just me. You don't have to do this, but like I like to include like words that relate to a particular theme that I want to like parallel with like the story. So in like with the one that my example, I had a lot of like things that will like glass, like reflections, like mirrors that will like in a sense like mirrors that break, or like reflections that aren't true. And like and having like outwardly appearances. So for example, I had like some descriptive words where the outside of this character's apartment was like very nicely like decorated and whatnot. The inside like was also seemingly very like, you know, well put together. But like the second that like the climax happens, everything like the window's broken. Right before it happens, like she notices that the window's broken and there's like water dripping. It's raining outside. There's water dripping down like onto the table, to kind of like to show that something's coming. You know, like not just like a storm's coming, but like there's something that will be seeping into her life and like ruining it. You know what I mean?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. So and then when the climax happens, like, you know, like there's a lot of like gross descriptive words that happen, but basically just like, you know, there's glass that shatters, there's just like, you know, the whole room becomes a mess, and like her the appearance that she was trying to put up, you know, obviously breaks, right? And she sounds like a different person, you know, like she carries herself like a different person when it happens, which is like obviously you got to do that during the climactic scene, but you know, like I liked having these ideas of like things breaking, and having things that like, you know, you keep trying to put it back together but it like breaks. I'm trying to think of like other examples I had in there. But I guess glass is like the best one I can think of. There was like this one part of the story where she was like a student, so like there was this this is my English major shit, but like I explained that like this character was doing an assignment, and the assignment had to do with like I think syntax, where you're like pulling apart like these words and sentences and creating something new. And like that, and I wanted to have like the idea of like you're breaking something apart to put it back together and like be whole again. And so I don't know, things like that like I feel like could be really cool with a story like this too. And it's even cooler because like in my opinion, because like you have these different point of views, but like having one standard like motif through the different point of views, I think is like something that really holds like, even though you're looking at it from different characters like eyes, we've got like the same like overarching like thoughts and like and overarching themes, right? Even with like my story, I have a lot of like, I mean, my story has a lot of like ice themes, right? Like I don't have to have those in there, and obviously it sounds like very poetic, but like the main reason why I have like ice themes is because we are like an ice princess, right? So it's like just using like those kind of words, and it also helps when you're trying to figure out like, how do I make this sound more pretty? Almost like, how do I make this sound like nicer? It's like a very nice constant reminder, like, okay, we are going with this motif of glass, so I want to make it feel like glass. I want to use a descriptive word that like when they're doing something, like when they're using the hacksaw or whatever, there's the shards of like blood or pieces of flesh fall and break apart like a mirror smashing or something like that, like things like that. It really helps like guide like that descriptive, like those descriptive pretty words that I feel like some stories can lack, because you're so focused on like building that one particular or a couple of different particular things, and you're like, how do you make it better? As I feel like having like a motif that's always easy to fall back on. It just makes it feel like more poetic, which like you said, like towards the middle end here, you wanted it to feel more poetic, the way that he's like dancing around this like issue dancing around this like thing that he does, like you want it to be like a poetic, like like he's just chilling, humming and whistling like a nice little tune to while he's like doing
like
some,
he's just having a grand old time.
exactly. So like having a way to make it more poetic is having like those descriptive motifs, or having motifs that help make it more descriptive. It's a little bit easier, at least that's what I've found, to do something like that.
I really like that, honestly. I like it a whole lot. It has me already brainstorming of like different things I could do for stuff like that. I'm not sure if glass would be the appropriate one, but I'd probably do things like, certain descriptions, like her family's house. Like her family is not the best. It's chaotic. It's dysfunctional. Her house appears very clean and pretty on the outside, and when you first walk in, the living room and kitchen and everything is what you see. That's very clean, but the bedrooms upstairs that you don't see are all a mess. Like in like all that nice jazz, like.
Yeah.
And I probably would do something that connects, and I do like scenarios like that descriptions like that would fall in with the antagonist too. I do things that would fit both of them. The whole everything's pretty on the outside, everything's super sloppy and messed up on the inside. And I'd probably also do things where like you can see, I'm not sure how to put it, but I'd probably do things that like describe their frustration as well. Like maybe things descriptive things like how Zoe clenches her fist or something, how eye twitches, maybe like you see something starting to crack nearby, like you can see Zoe starting to crack and like be super angry and everything. And of course I do want big moments now that I think about it, even where like maybe something where like Zoe's getting ready for the party and she's putting makeup on, but every time she puts a new thing of makeup on, she's not she doesn't it's not acceptable enough, and she wipes it off and keeps up reapplying makeup until eventually getting so frustrated, like eventually she just screams and punches the mirror or something.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that, or maybe like while she's putting on the makeup, she's being, how there's color palettes with makeup and you can be too rough and the makeup will break apart and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm thinking something like that, where every time she keeps reapplying it, the makeup palette where she's getting like eyeshadow and everything is cracking more and more, and so
Yeah.
it's nothing and it's crumbled.
Yeah.
That would be really good.
That would be good. I like that. Something I just thought of was like, obviously, like by the way, all the things I said you don't have to use. I was just using like an example because I'm bad at thinking about examples on the spot. But I just thought about like the idea of like decay potentially being like a motif. Decay being in like, because you said like, so when you said house, I was like, what is something that I think about when I think of house? I think of like wood, right? And I was like, wood decays, you know what I mean? And like, and obviously we've got a character that we're building up to a moment where the mask is basically gone, right? The mask falls off, and we've got
mask off moment.
Yeah. But we've got this like decay of like, I guess, patience almost, and like this stalker character who has like a decay in like I don't know, like patience or decay in sanity. That's for sure. Decay in sanity.
It would be for her. It would be a decay in her ability to keep up her mask. So patience is kind of a thing I think would fit both of them, because it's a decay in her patience to keep up her facade, her appearance.
Right.
Well, it's a decay in his patience to not act on these intrusive, horrible thoughts he has, which is snatching her up off the street and running.
Right. Exactly. And I thought about like just bouncing ideas here. You don't have to use this, but when you talked about the makeup scene, I actually thought about like when you know when like when you're taking off the makeup, you usually use like, you know, a napkin or I don't know, maybe you're fancy and rich and actually have like a makeup remover.
Don't worry, I'm broke.
Okay, good, nice. Okay, but you know, like you have like potentially like a napkin or something like that, and like when you have like so many colors like go onto like one thing, it just becomes like brown. You know what I mean? Like it just becomes like this one kind of like nasty color.
That's actually really cool to think about, with like, you know, wiping the makeup off and it's all just like smearing together. It's all just colliding together. You can't tell one thing apart from the other. It's just all there.
Yeah. So that'd be kind of like maybe a cool like description or thingy that you could use like while you're talking about the but I like your idea with the smash like eyeshadow and stuff like that too, because like the last thing you want to do is mess up your makeup because that's expensive.
Makeup's expensive.
Right.
Oh my God. The only thing I can afford is like foundation and powder. I can't afford to go out and get like whole eyeshadow palettes.
Right, exactly.
That's too expensive. Like $20+.
I know. And then you only wear it for like, I don't know, max like the day. I don't know, if that, probably not even, because it took you like 2 hours to get ready. So like, and you really
like makeup, the most you will catch me usually doing is again foundation, powder, and maybe a nude lipstick, because I like nude lipsticks more.
Yes, I like it. I like the subtle looks for sure. Those are nice. Anyway, sorry. We could talk about makeup, but anyway.
We can talk about makeup another time.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, really great ideas. I love all the ideas that you're coming up with as well. Because I can like hear like the passion like in your voice about this story and stuff like that. So it's just nice to hear. Sorry, I had to point it out.
You've got the little gears in my head turning for my little creativity. I'm just like, yes, yes, stir the pot.
Yeah, stir the
pot.
Exactly.
It's why I'm like so excited to try the visual novel thing you recommended, because I think honestly, I at first wanted to do like manga and stuff, but I'm not the best at like drawing those really complex scenes. But I can do very simple scenes and stuff. And the visual novel thing, honestly, it makes me want to take these stories, get back into them, but put them into visual novel form.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Like seriously, it's wonderful. Especially with like these, I don't know, I feel like these moments that you have here, I feel like could definitely work so well in like a VN. Yeah, this would be really cool in a VN. Now that you're saying it, I think it works so well. Yeah, I because like there's just so much like you said, I could definitely like, as you were reading, you know, you mentioned that you do like focus on like the feelings of the character. And what was it that you said?
I focus on the feelings a whole lot and
Right.
portraying them a whole lot with like how the character addresses things, like
Right.
how he addresses his obsession while dancing around it, but also being aware of it in a
I
way.
am, yeah. Yes, exactly. And I feel like with visual novels, because like a part of it's already like, excuse me, I burped, sorry. Because a part of it's already like kind of taken care of, sort of like in the sense of like you already have like the visuals, which by the way you would do amazing on because you already do, you know, work on art and all these really cool creative projects. So it's like, you know, I know that you would do a phenomenal job at like bringing those ideas to like a not like a over the top, you know, image, but like you'd be able to like get the mood across, get like, you know, the exact
Yeah.
like, yeah, what you want across, right? And then the words are just like I honestly I feel like the obviously the story is a focus and like the visuals help kind of boost the words. And I definitely feel like with like a visual novel, the focus tends to be more so on like emotions anyway, you know what I mean, and like feelings and like the voice lines, right, being able to like feel for these characters, relate or not relate to characters. So yeah, I could definitely see this being like in a visual novel, and I think it'd be super cool.
I think it'd be really cool to put into a visual novel. I'm really excited to try the visual novel process and see if I like it. I think I will. I just get a hunch that I will. And if I do, I really think I'll take my old stories and try to put them into visual novel format. And I might still try to do the whole point of view shifting, like with this story, with the whole thing of like, you know how when you play some visual novel games and you're like, you're looking through the character's eyes, you don't actually see the character you're playing through the perspective of on screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I might do something like that where you can like actively see your perspective shift or something between Zoe and the antagonist.
Ooh, yeah. It kind of reminds me of like cooking companions. Like you don't know who you're playing as at first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, ooh,
If you
that's
see the
good.
demo for their next game, they do that. It's a little hard to tell at first, but if you pay attention to the wording they do in the next game, they're making.
Oh.
I played the demo, called like Dreadweight.
Oh,
You
yay.
are switching between two characters. You're switching between a new character you're playing as, but you're also going back to the first character you played as in the first game, and it's really
Oh, what
cool. The
the
only It's a little difficult to tell though, I will admit, unless you pay really close attention to the wording.
heck?
It is easy to, I feel like it's a little easy to get confused, so I feel like there should be something maybe visually that helps you recognize the shift. Maybe
Yeah, yeah.
could be a different style. Could be like the change in the text box color or the font, or
Yeah.
maybe something just on the edges of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there could be good ways to do that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, for sure. Yes. Something else that I was thinking of that I jotted down here is when you were talking about. Also, wait, sorry. Hi, everyone that's in the chat. I appreciate y'all chatting. I know Cinna does as well. We're really like stoked in and focused on Cinna's amazing story. So I'm sorry if we're not engaging with chat too much right now.
Sorry, guys, but we are having a nerd out over creative writing
Yes,
right now.
exactly. Yes, we're having a nerd out right now. But yeah, no, this is amazing. Okay, sorry. So what I was about to say is like with this character here, the little stalker character, I'm sorry, what?
Little soft character, she says. I don't think I ever determined what his height was.
Oh well, maybe they're
Short king. Short king. It's been established now he's gonna be short king.
Canon. Let's go.
Short, crazy, psycho king.
Yes, let's go. Heck yeah. You mentioned that you really wanted to have, like, obviously we see it in this chapter, and I think you do a lovely job doing this, like having the demons here, the word demons, and obviously the angels and whatnot. I think like I would love to see how like your ideas on like leaning into that imagery more, because like for example, like what I jotted down myself was saying like what if like we start like, you know, again going on this motif of things like decaying or getting increasingly more awful, like we start with like the names, and then we forget the names, and then we just say demon, and then we stopped using even demon, and we actually use like demon names, like I don't know what,
Like, say, I could get what you're saying. Like, the more long, like, we know what the bullies are. They're generally referred to as demons. But say there are specific bullies and stuff that are like getting in the way or something, or like they're specifically like characters that are irking him. He can call them things like Beelzebub, Satan, Lucifer,
Right, exactly.
Asmodeus, all that nice jazz. Like give them actual demon like names, which would
Yeah.
be interesting because Zoe has a brother, a younger brother, that she actually is herself around and is very
Oh.
attached to,
Yeah.
and like genuinely very much loves and is very protective of her brother.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I could see him giving a name to the brother, not calling him a demon, maybe referring to him. I'm
Almost
not
as like
sure,
something in between, like
something in between.
yeah. No, that'd
Maybe
be
give
dope.
him. It'd be a little probably. Actually, he could probably refer to him a bit as the Grim Reaper, because her brother's supposed to be extremely smart, like genius levels of smart.
Oh.
So probably could describe him a bit like the Grim Reaper, where our stalker here views him as the Grim Reaper because if her brother finds out, if her brother finds out, he's certain that it would be easy for him to connect the dots back to him because he's
Hmm.
really intelligent. He's easy at picking things apart. It's just he has a natural good detective instinct, and he is
Ooh.
intelligent, so he is a big threat. So I could see him referring to him as almost like an angel of death, because he
Yeah.
wouldn't view her brother as a demon, in my
Right.
opinion.
Right.
He would view him as something dangerous, but not a demon. Because obviously, if he's related to Zoe and he acts a lot like Zoe, he can't be evil in the stalker's eyes.
Right.
He is a threat, but he doesn't view him as evil. He views him as like almost like death.
Hmm.
If he
Yeah.
catches me or he gets a whiff of me, it's over.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. No, that's super cool. I love that. That's really dope because like I've always really liked, this is a whole other tangent, but I've always really liked like Greek mythology or whatever kind of like gods and
Same. I
yeah,
love Greek
right?
mythology.
Yes. So it'd be so cool to see like I mean, again, this is like another like motif thing, right? Like you would have it throughout probably the length of the story, but like or just in this person's point of views, if you want. But like that'd be so cool, like to see it devolve into like they don't even like the names don't even matter anymore. They're just like obviously we have that here, right? Like where he says like this. I think this demon's name was Kia, right? But it's like such a pretty name wasted on this one. It's right. It's like what if it's just like we don't even remember the name anymore. Like what was that one again? What's the one I killed yesterday night? I don't know. It's
Yeah, like
you know what
it's
I
all
mean?
blending together, like how the makeup was blending together. We could probably do
Ooh!
something like that. Ooh, that's actually a good idea. What if he paints? Ooh,
Okay,
what if he
snap.
paints? And
Let's
as
go.
he's painting, and throughout the story, his artwork, he notices the colors are just all blending together a whole lot.
Yes, let's
Ooh, that'd be
go.
so good.
That would.
That would be
Okay,
so
let's
freaking good.
go. Look at us. That's so great. Those are such
Ooh,
great ideas. I would love to see
got
that.
me brainstorming so much. Ooh, this definitely has to, if I do love the visual novel process, this has to be part of it, especially because I can now visualize like actual art things that would work great with this. Like,
Mm.
say he's talking to the brother, and slowly, just as he's talking to him, his face shifts from like normal to eventually kind of skeletal like.
Ooh.
Cool visually.
Yeah. No, that'd be so. Ooh, that's so like subtly like ominous. Like I love that. That's a beautiful idea.
I think that'd be so cool. Oh, you got me so excited now. Ooh.
Yes, let's go! Heck yeah! Yeah, that'd be so dope, man. But yeah, I've always really liked the demon and angel analogy. I just like was thinking like what else could take you like a step further. You know what I mean? I feel like that's really dope. Like having them represent something and like I don't know if this is just me, but I always love games that like kind of like make you want to research like, well, why did they decide this? Like why did they decide to have like the lacy pink ribbon? And it's like then you kind of look up like, well, lace is like this or that, right? Or here it's like why did they decide to call, this particular person I don't know, Thor, and then you look up like what the Thor lore is, or like the kind of personality that Thor has, and you can like make these parallels. You're like, oh shit, like that represents this, you know what I mean? Like I like to go down rabbit holes. When I like to go down rabbit holes like when I read something. Like I feel like that's like a really great story when there's like so much thought and I like put into like these connections and parallels and whatnot. So that'd be really dope. I love your idea. That'd be so cool.
I really, really am like so hyped, and I like the ideas of that, like it tying back into something, and people can go down a little rabbit hole. Also, Pack makes a good point. Great ideas are the short pieces of an entire story. You gotta think of the big, long-term things as well. But I do love these great ideas too.
Yeah, yeah. I know there's a lot of great ideas here in just this part. I mean, we've got 3 pages, but there's just so much that I feel like, I mean, that's just like so great, and there's so much to build off of, and like that's so great. Like I always like love seeing things that like it's just such a great starting point to really get to something that like, oh yeah, this is gonna make me quake. And this, I mean, it's already past a great starting point. This is already really solid, you know what I mean? So no, this is really awesome. So great job, obviously. I mean, all compliments.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I am really happy that this one is that this chapter portrays it's very solid, at least in the emotion part. I can see exactly, and I like the critique you gave back. A lot of it I can see going into this needing to be built up, and I like that because I know I do struggle with some of those aspects with writing, and I do like that a whole lot. I personally would like. I think it would be great to add that. That's not me like trying to like give in to any pressure or anything. It's a whole thing of I genuinely like the critique you gave, and it makes me want to add it because I feel like it would add more layers to it.
Oh, I'm
Make it
so glad.
deeper, give it more depth.
Yes, exactly. That's always the hope is that the feedback is like, you know, is gonna help you build something that's, you know, just build on what you've already got, right? So yeah, that's freaking
Hell
epic.
yeah.
Hell yeah. I think another thing that I wanted to mention, sorry, did you want to say something?
I was gonna say like I do want to like again keep track of everything you've told me, the critiques and everything, because I will like admit right here after we're done I'm gonna like save and like this stream, so like whenever I do the visual novel right, and I can come back to it and be like, Kōri gave this advice and this advice, let's see if I can put it in here and get it into something tangible, something like that.
Oh my gosh, that makes my heart so warm. Thank you for saying that.
I really do, because like I think it would really help improve my writing, especially if because I'm a go big or go home kind of person. I've made that always known. I've never hidden that I'm a go big or go home person. I want to improve as much as I can so I can do like the biggest, splashiest bang. Here I am. Here's my work. Here's my artwork and everything I've done. Shabam, all up in your face. I
Heck
want
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to have the critique.
Yay, I'm so glad. Thank you for being open to it. And obviously like I mean I say this on every like creative Kōri stream, but it's like being vulnerable with your something that is basically like a spawn of like your brain. You know what I mean? Like this is your baby, all right? Your brain baby. And I feel like being vulnerable with that is also very admirable, and like we all appreciate that, and it's amazing. And so thank you so much for doing this with us and being like, you know, a partially like vulnerable. You know, because I know a lot of people that are like very much against like sharing like their work, you know what I mean? So and I get it.
That.
Yeah, right. You know, because it's a lot of pressure, you know. It's something that you wrote like, you know, in you know whatever comfort space that you have. It's like, you know, so like having to put it out there can be very like daunting. So like I totally get it, and I always love it when people share it. So yes.
Yeah, for me it's only daunting because I write horror stories. And like as you could see, of course I also write like a little bit more wholesome stuff. And my wholesome stuff usually does fall into like the philosophical end, because I also love philosophy.
Right.
I love discussing different topics and stuff and like questioning things. But you can see obviously with like my horror stories that like at the very top I wrote that little thing like this story is for entertainment. The author does not condone the actions copied from this book and everything. I wrote that because I know people get freaked out when somebody says they like to write horror stories. And I don't want people to be scared of me. I'm obviously not going to act out anything I write. That is not what I'm going to do.
Is
I
that
do
really
not
a thing?
promote any of this.
Is that really a
People,
thing?
I've seen, when I describe to some people in my life that like, not like relatives or anything, because my relatives
Mhm.
obviously they know me. My mom like was one of the ones. She's like, oh, I don't care that she writes horror stories as long as she ain't acting it out and she's taking care of her mental health. Who cares?
Mhm.
But for say when I was doing this in high school and I told some like peers,
Mhm.
some of them would give me odd looks because
What?
it's the whole thing of like you're writing horror stories. Say like you wrote a story about and there's a scene where somebody, okay, gruesome scene, somebody gets
Okay,
decapitated. Oh
right.
my god, they get
Okay.
their head cut off.
Mhm.
You're writing that, you're writing it descriptively, you're giving it those senses and everything.
Mhm.
People will give you this look because they're going to be like, oh my god, are you a fucking psycho? Are you going to kill somebody? It's that whole thing. And I understand the worry because to an extent, people, there are some troubled individuals who have used art as a way to express their way darker emotions that they would act on if they could.
That's true. That's true. That's a good point.
So I understand the wariness there.
Yeah.
So it makes me a little hesitant sometimes. I'm proud of my work and I'm happy to get critique back on it, but I also understand the wariness people can have of me because I write horror stories. And they aren't just horror stories, they're like, ooh, here's a monster. They can be more realistic in tone.
I see what you mean. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. I never thought about that. I always was like, it's just like I don't know. This has always been my point of view. Like I've always just been like, it's a story. Like it's fiction. So it's like this isn't reflective of like something that I did necessarily. But it's true that there are people who write about like things that they committed. I mean, there's literally like some case in Japan that
Yeah.
this guy like committed this awful murder of like this teen, like this innocent freaking girl.
Oh, I could, there's a lot.
Yeah,
to say about that.
that's
There's a
true.
lot.
That's
I'm
true.
worried about how many there are.
That's true. But like they went to their jail or prison or whatever as it is out there, the judicial system, and then when
Yeah.
they got out, they started to publish books about like detailing like what they did and like what, and like that's crazy to me. Like that's like
It's insane.
yeah, like that's really messed up, and it sucks because they got a lot of money for that too.
It does. It does because people are like, I get it. I really do get it. The curiosity of it. I really do. Because
Mhm.
I would be curious to pick the brain of a criminal. Uh, I get it. I love true crime and stuff, and I like investigating the psychological depth of the human mind.
Mhm.
However, I'm not gonna lie, I would not buy that shit. I
No.
would just pirate it offline.
Yeah.
I'd just wait for somebody else to do my job.
Right. Exactly.
Ain't no way I'm gonna support the actual killer.
Right, honestly. Also, I don't know if I'd be able to sleep at night knowing that. Like, if I read that, I don't know. I'd be like shaking if I read that, I feel like, because I'm like,
I would be horrified as well. I'd have to read it in small doses if I did read anything like that. I
Yeah.
would be like being honest here because I know how my mind works. My mind's gonna be like, holy shit, this could happen to me.
oh, yeah, exactly.
That's how my mind goes. is
Same.
I'm like, holy shit, this could happen to me. And I won't deny, probably some moments it probably caused some paranoia. Be like checking out the window, like, ain't nobody out there, right? Ain't nobody out there watching, right?
No, I feel that 100%. But yeah, I mean, I didn't know that that was a thing. Like, I mean, I'm not judging you at all by your writing. I mean, like,
Thank
I'm
you.
taking your writing as something that is, just your creative outlet, and like, I don't think like I don't know. I feel like if you were really like that, I feel like you probably wouldn't be writing a story. I don't know, like, or I don't know. I just feel like those people probably have people they want to attack over things they want to write. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I would think that too from what little I've seen, like of the writings of like those people, like the little snippets I've seen from the books come out, like from people. Again,
mhm.
haven't read like the full books, but the little snippets I've seen, I'm like, I wouldn't imagine these people writing this until like after they've been to prison or something, and then they got out because, or maybe they read it while in prison because the whole thing is why are they gonna write about an experience that they haven't had yet?
Right.
That's what it. That's my whole thing on it. Because again, it's after they've done it that they write the books.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting.
It's interesting and terrifying.
Yes, and terrifying, and sad in a lot of ways that they would write something like that. Anyway, but yeah, no, I'm definitely just taking this as a creative outlet and just as this is words on a screen.
It very much is. At the end of the day, I just like the horror genre and I like scary stories.
Same.
I really do.
Right.
I enjoy it. I like the emotions it can evoke. I like the fear it can evoke. I like scary stories. That's why I write these stories. And it's not like a whole gore fest or something like, doom music plays in the background. I legitimately want to write an in-depth story that can basically incite emotions from the reader.
Yeah, absolutely. No, 100%. And I feel like something that I find kind of interesting, like now that I'm looking at this and looking at, I know, I am acquainted with you. We've talked many times, and done whatever, right? And I feel like it's funny because, like, I'm kind of drawing this parallel right now between, like, this, Junji Ito does, like, amazing manga horror stories.
Junji Ito is like out of this world.
Right, but it's funny because
terrifying,
like right, he's so terrifyingly great with the horror stories, but also like he's just a guy. Like he even says like I'm sorry that my life is like pretty boring. Like he's just like so chill and like, I almost feel like
that's how I feel. My life is just boring. I'm just some simple woman mind computer that likes scary stories.
Right, but I feel like the way that his stories is finding like these things to fear about these subtleties of everyday life, and in a lot of ways that's what like his stories can be about. And I feel like kind of similarly with like I'm just drawing parallels between his like his person and also his stories, and your person and like your stories. Like, sometimes like the people that are they like obviously like writing this doesn't mean you're gonna do these things, but it could mean that you do face a lot of fear in another way. Like you experience fear, and that's why you know how to write about it, is because you experience anxiety, you experience these really awful like traumatic things. That how else do you get that emotion out? How else do you describe that unless you
can write it,
unless you read it. Right, exactly.
And you are correct to an extent. All my stories, when it comes to the main themes of fear in the horror stories, they come from fears I've had or still have. Like obviously with this one, when I was younger, not so much anymore because I've kind of grown up and I'm like, fuck it, I don't care no more. I'm too tired for all that. But I used to worry about people's opinions all the time because I'm open about it. I am high functioning autism. I am a little socially awkward still. I was extremely socially awkward as a child, and because I could tell that something was like, before I was diagnosed, I could tell like I didn't communicate right. I very much in a way started to learn how to mask and how to present myself in public to everybody else versus how I present myself to my family when I'm at home. Because I learned from a young age, people outside my family aren't going to understand me as well as people inside my family, of course. Because my family understands my challenges and everything, whereas the people outside my home aren't going to understand that as well.
Yeah.
So that's where like Zoe's anxiety and stuff comes from, especially like with the rage too. Because I'm not like, I don't have anger issues. I hope I don't. I want to hope I don't. But I understand a little bit of how like Zoe feels with that resentment of having to present yourself a certain way to people.
Yeah.
Because I've had to do that in life. Like even my family who I love dearly, I've had to put on a face for them sometimes, certain relatives.
Right.
Or when certain situations have come up and it's like, ugh, I hate this. Can I just be blunt and to the point, please?
Right.
I hate pretending.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a really relatable thing too. I mean, I think like almost everyone kind of experiences to some sort of degree, maybe not as like extreme as you have experienced it. Obviously, it's not comparing apples to oranges here. But you know, just like experiencing like having to act a certain way with this friend group versus this friend group, or in front of your family versus like, you know, I don't know, your partner or something like that. Like just the way you have to act different in front of different kinds of people. It's definitely very relatable. And I definitely would love to see like, I mean, obviously like you just related your anxiety and fears with like Zoe, right? And we don't have like Zoe's point of view in this particular chapter, but I would love to see like how you translated those experiences into Zoe's character. Like I think that's a really like interesting thing. So yeah.
Well, I'd love to show you one day. Maybe after I get the hang of like doing my own visual novel. If I do continue, I definitely think this will be one of the ones I do make into a visual novel. But I really do like the process. I will most definitely like let you guys see a snippet or something of it.
Ooh, let's go.
I think it'd be really cool. Maybe like I could do like what the Cooking Companions game dev team did and release like a small demo. Here's your snippet. Here's your little treat.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be dope. I'd love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. Heck yeah, I'm happy to hear that. Let me see. Do I have anything? Do you have any questions or anything in particular that you wanted to talk about here? Oh, I remember this one thing, but go ahead and say what you were gonna say if you were gonna say something. Sorry.
I think you covered actually a majority of things I was going to ask about. Like, yeah, I think you pretty much covered everything I was going to ask about. Because I did have some, like, questions of things. Like, what did you think of this? What did you think of that? And, like, you pretty much covered it. You covered the whole thing that I pretty much was going to ask.
That's good. That's really great to hear. I am very glad. I mean, it's good because, like, that means that the parts that you cared about or like wanted to talk about the most are ones that we also saw that it was important. So that means you got the point across, basically, right? So that's good. That's good to hear. I guess the only thing like left that I wanted to mention was, and again, this is just kind of me coming from like both like the poetry classes that I took and obviously the short story. But like I would suggest this sounds like a very like nitpicky thing, but I promise it's not.
It's okay. Okay, go ahead.
I would suggest like breaking up this section a little bit more, like whether that be like in paragraphs or singling out certain sentences as well, like potentially just to. I'd have to read the whole thing again to like tell you which ones like potentially, but maybe like this part where like my sweet angel, I just want you to be here right beside me. Like that line is very like creepy, right? And I would almost want to see it like singled out. You know, like just give me that line. Let me sit on that line. Let me soak on that line for a second before I move on to the next scene where we're like, okay, now we're going into the bedroom. Like I want it, like giving moments where, again, like you just let the reader hang on to that like phrase just for a little bit longer before we switch on to the next part. Just so that way we can really feed off that tension or that whatever feeling that you're trying to get across here. So I feel like maybe breaking it up a little bit would be great. And also like going off of the motif of like feeling like or wanting it to be like poetic, you know, as we talked about with the bare alabaster skin, right? Like when I was working on poetry, I like personally, you know, I like to break things up to be more visual when I do poetry. And obviously that's not something that you can totally do with like short stories because it gets a little bit distracting and like way too abstract, you know. But
yeah, sadly you can't always get away with it.
Right, exactly. You don't want it to be too over the top crazy. But like even just like again, like breaking up the paragraphs, singling out lines, even like if you want to emphasize certain like italics or you could even bold words, you know what I mean, like visually, you know, stimulate like certain emotions or whatever you want to emphasize in these sentences, or scenes. Because that gives it more of like a almost like poetic, and you can get away with it on the parts that you want it to be poetic, right? Because that's the whole point, is like you want them to feel like they're almost like, you know, writing in their diary, like, oh my god, I killed someone today. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like they're just like so, like their hearts sped up, right? And like they're blushing, like it's almost like this like schoolgirl, you know, kawaii uwu des like moment, right?
Funny? I had a story idea where it was just like that. It was this serial killer. It was the basic idea. I didn't get to write anything on it, but the basic idea was you had this super cute pastel, like sweet angel, like baby faced woman who's like all cutesy and everything, but the reality is she's a fucking serial killer, and she specifically targets other serial killers because she likes the thrill of like people who can fight back viciously.
Ooh, I like that.
So like literally I have that exact idea written down on my list of story ideas.
That's so cute. But like that's something that I feel like you could almost implement here. Like maybe not like all the cuteness, but like, you know, the idea of like this like doki doki like poetry time, like you know, there's a sense of just like it's unsettling to me when I read like horror poetry in a way, because it's just like I don't know how to feel about it, because it's like it's poetry to me, like I associate poetry with something that's like very abstract and like usually beautiful, has really nice like descriptive but abstract imagery, right? So when I see it in like or when I see something similar in like a short story, I'm always like sitting there, I always want to read that back, you know, I always want to read it back and like, well, what, like, it's so, it's in a way, it's like unsettling. It's like, it almost like doesn't belong here. But at the same time, it's symbolizing the way that maybe this character does not belong here. You know what I mean? Anyway, yeah.
I can visualize and like get what you're putting. I get that. Like those really creepy things, like the one you talked about, the My Beautiful Angel line.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could separate that out all on its own and bold it, so you see that's a really intense line.
Yeah,
that's a really intense line, and you should pay attention to that line because of how intense it is.
right.
I feel that's actually really cool. I didn't know I could do that with my writing, actually. Thank you.
Heck yeah. I mean, that's just my poetry background, like talking as well. But like, it's also nice because like if I'm sure that if I read this, like I could even kind of tell as you were reading it, there was not as many like pauses in the story, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. The pauses can be things that, you know, obviously gives us a chance to breathe and soak in on information or emotions, but also like when you don't have pauses, that makes it even more like vicious, you know what I mean? Because it's like for example, let's say like right before this there's a bunch of spaces and whatnot, right? And then we've got like this at the very beginning, and then all of a sudden now we've got like this blood, there's blood everywhere in the tub, it's filled with blood, the smell is this and like, oh, I love this, like, oh, blah 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 blah, like all of a sudden now we've got this big old block of text of just like what is going on.
Intensity, like it's
right.
way more intense, the writing, not only just visually but just how it's showing, like written.
Yeah, it's like if you don't give that reader a chance to breathe, they're not gonna breathe, you know what I mean? And like at a point like this where there's a lot of tension and conflict, for example, like the part where you were talking about where Zoe will have the mask fall off and like all that tension, like you know you could potentially implement something like that there, where like all of her lines or like all of her movements are in just one massive like paragraph, because it's just like it's back to back and like everything is just like falling apart, but also like kind of coming together in a way and just like being this massive like no breath to take. You can't take a breath. It's just all of it's happening now. You know, you don't get time to breathe, you know? So like I think something like that, like just utilizing pauses and spaces can be really helpful for not just like your reader, but also like you know, visually, not just like helpful visually, but also helpful with like whatever emotions you're trying to accentuate in the scenes.
I think that would be really cool, especially with like the party scene I told you about I wanted.
Right.
Imagine the shift in the writing going from lots of calm spaces to it slowly just starting to seem to like blend together.
Right, exactly.
That
Yeah.
would be really good. I wonder how you could put that in a visual novel. Probably could in some way.
Yeah,
Think
well,
of that way.
it is possible to change the font, so like you can make it a different font and also smaller, so that way more text fits on the page. You could also like,
Ooh.
yeah, you could also like, depending on like the scene, like this might not work for like for your particular scene. But you could also like create an image that would be in the background that has like everything on it instead of like actually having the little bar at the bottom. You could do that
Yeah.
too. But yeah, there's a couple of different ways for sure that I think you could do it. It was something that like I think I tried, but I was like, it was just getting annoying and too difficult. So I was like, I'm not dealing with this right now. But it is possible. I know that it's possible. You know, just don't be lazy like me. So that's it. but yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I will say I'm a little bit lazy. Just a little bit lazy.
It's okay. It's fair. It's fair. It's honestly, I same. Honestly, same. I think as far as feedback, I think that covers what I had. Yeah, I think that's the main stuff. Sorry, I know that might have been a lot, or it was a lot,
No.
but
I was completely down for it. I am down for this. I love it.
let's go. Okay, great. So that's all mine. If you have any last thoughts or questions, feel free to say it now. Otherwise, we can move on to the next story.
I don't really have any last thoughts or questions, really. We covered pretty much everything.
Sweet. Awesome. Let's go. Heck yeah. Okay. So, did you want me to read this, or you want me to read the Cobalt Sky?
Cobalt Sky. I'll let you read it because I want to see how you read it. I'm very interested to hear how you read it. I will mute to make sure I don't cause a noise or anything mid reading. So tell me when you're getting ready to read, and I will 100% just mute for a quick moment so we can just enjoy your reading.
Okay, sounds good. Is there anything that you wanted to preface this with?
This is very dialogue heavy. This is a very dialogue heavy one. I do mess with dialogue, but I admit I need a lot of work on it because it is I want to do dialogue more, but the issue is trying to balance it for me because you can see in a line already, it's ended with he asked, and it continues on. I've been told not to add too many of those before. I've been told before I've added too many. So I'm trying to figure out the balance still between how much of that is too much, how much of it do I actually need. It's that whole thing.
Okay, got you. Sounds good.
Yeah. This is a very dialogue heavy one. So I'm hoping with the way I wrote it, it's easy to tell who's speaking apart.
Mm-hmm.
And I messed with this one more recently because this is again, one of my more philosophical ones that I really, really liked.
Okay.
And yeah.
Nice.
But this chapter pretty much is the very first bit of it, and it's very wholesome and sweet. But you will get certain vibes from it, little hints here and there.
Okay. So is it okay if I read it and then can you read it after I do? Because I want to hear, obviously you want to hear how I read it, but I would like to hear how you read it as well. Since you're the author.
So do you want to read the whole thing then, and then I read the whole thing?
Yeah, I think that'd be nice. Are you down?
Okay.
Are you down for that?
I'm down for that. 100%.
Okay, cool. Nice. All right. Okay, we've got
muting.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, you can go ahead. All right, we've got Cobalt Sky. April 1st, 2028. The afternoon sky above is clear today. I can hear what birds are left call our way as we walk along this dirt road. Faintly, I hear the leaves below our feet crunch as we walk our way. A few leaves that come from the trees as the season shifts. Our summer days are ending slowly, and as each day passes closer to what's soon to be fall, I can't believe it's all ending this way. Hey, hurry up! I want to make it to the docks in time! I looked forward and was greeted by my close friend. His messy brown curly hair, dark tan skin, bright green eyes, and freckled covered face are a sight I truly love to see. I want to reach out and cup his face with my hand, but there's no point in doing the unnecessary. Flashing him a smile, I perk up a bit and pick up my walking pace. You okay? You've been kind of quiet lately, he asked. I'm okay. I'm just sad to see our summer ending. Why? We have so many more coming our way. I don't have the heart to tell him. Not like this. Not in the world we live in now. I allow my mouth to open and release a faint chuckle before I look at him again and smile. Excitedly, I say, You're right. I shouldn't be upset when there's so many more coming our way. That's the spirit. Hey, before the summer's through, we need to finish enjoying this one. I suddenly felt a warm hand grip mine and start pulling me along through the summer's intense heat. I was barely able to keep up with the one pulling me. I struggled to pace my breathing, but it was to no avail since I was running at someone else's speed in the intense heat. We eventually stopped though, and I came face to face with the familiar sight of a giant lake, surrounded by foliage, rocks, and a few ducks. I continued to allow myself to be pulled along until we came to a small dock that leads out nearly to the center of the lake. The dock was considerably old since it hasn't been tended to for 10 years. Still, it was sturdy and didn't show any signs of collapsing as you walked forward on it. When you got to the end of it, I looked down into the water. My own reflection greeted me. Long, slightly unkempt blonde hair, sea blue eyes, pale as snow skin, and my white t-shirt that was slightly dirty and tattered. Next to my reflection was my friend's. Disgruntled, I say, I look horrible and probably smell no better. Yeah, you smell like something that crawled in pig shit. I'm gonna punch you! Turning on my heel, I swung myself around with my fist clenched, ready to deal a blow strong enough to knock him down into the lake. I'm too slow though. My fist goes forward but never makes contact. He already knew what I was gonna do, so he ducked and tackled me into the water. Coolness suddenly washes over me. I squeezed my eyes shut until I felt the pressure around my midsection lighten to nothing. I opened my eyes to see my friend grinning at me before putting his arms up and propelling himself upwards. I smiled before doing the same. As soon as fresh air greeted me, I took a large gulp of it before laughing like crazy. I looked beside me to see my friend laughing as well. I swung my arm in the water and splashed him in the face. This time, he didn't even try to run away from it. Happily, I yell, "Horse his ass! I know you are, but what am I? A man-child, Aiden. A 28-year-old man-child. Damn right I am!" He quickly swam towards me. I immediately knew what he was doing, though. He was gonna push me under. I started swimming to the dock nearby, the whole time only hearing a, "Where are you going, Seb?" he yelled. I was able to make it before he caught me. I hauled myself up onto the dock and quickly scrambled to get my feet away from the edge so he couldn't pull me in. "What makes you think climbing up there will stop me?" he called out to me. I watched as he threw himself up and onto the dock. He flashed me his signature mischievous grin before letting it disappear and letting his eyes look above me. I followed his eyes and saw the view he did. We got so caught up in messing with each other that we didn't even notice the sunset and the sky filled with fireflies. It was quite a sight. Tons of them, everywhere. They lit up the area around us and I couldn't help but stare. "Hey, Seb, come sit down so we can watch all of them." I looked forward to see Aiden sitting at the edge of the dock swinging his legs over the edge. I made my way over and did the same. We stared and watched as all of them flew around us. It was silent until I heard singing. I don't know, I'm not gonna sing it, but anyway.
Yeah, whatever makes you comfortable, that's what I'm gonna say.
Alright, nice. Let's go. Alright, if tomorrow never comes and this is my last day alive, I'd be happy if this was my final sight. To spend my last moments here with the fireflies in the sky, truly a sight that's one of a kind. On these summer nights, I can't help but to admire the cobalt blue sky and fireflies. I closed my eyes and listened to him sing on. He does things like this often. It's beautiful, hearing his voice and his feelings pour out into the world around us. No one is around to disturb us. No one to hurt us or take away our precious time. Truly, it's moments like these that remind me just how the world we're in has gone completely mute. Not a single sign of human life for miles all around. We truly are the last two left behind. Wow, what a powerful ending there.
Ooh,
That
yeah.
was really powerful.
I'm really proud of how I wrote the ending right there.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of that one.
Wow, that left a little mark on my heart right there. That was really powerful. That was beautiful.
And there's a deep meaning behind that because obviously, like, little spoiler here, that is both he's talking about that emotionally as well as like physically.
Right.
Like that is literal as well.
Right. That's what I mean, that's the first thing that I was thinking. I was like, it seems that, because I was like, wait, what's going on? Like, while I was reading, I was like, I had a question, like, wait, okay, so when I read the top, we've got April 1st, 2028, and I'm like, that's the future, you know? So it's like, wait, what's going on in the future? I feel like when you read a date that's past, like, our current time, right, you're always, like, wondering, like, well, I wonder what that world is like. And then I'm like, and we've got this really, like, you know, wholesome interaction between these two characters, and I'm like, okay, but I've still got this question itching at my neck, like, what's going on here? And then we've got it answered at the very end in, like, the most, like, beautiful but almost, like, sad way possible. So that's really poetic. That's beautiful.
Yeah. That's what I wanted is like throughout this, you don't get told bluntly what's happening. In some stories, that's really good to just be upfront about it.
Yeah.
Be upfront about what's happening. With this one though, I did not just want to come out and say it. I wanted it to be something where you put the pieces together gradually and you get questions as you read. I really wanted that with this one. So you get questions and then you get what's a little bit of an answer right at the end.
Nice.
You don't get you don't get told exactly what's happening.
Right.
But you get a bit of an answer. And
Yeah.
the answer is we're truly the last two left.
Damn, that's good. I like that a lot. That's freaking dope.
I'm really proud of that one. This
yeah.
one again is like the more philosophical ones that I've written, and I'm really proud of this one and the idea I have behind it.
So do you feel like is this like just like a chapter, or is this something that like
this was the first, like, this is like the introduction chapter,
oh,
and this one was to be written like you're reading a journal almost.
oh,
Like you're reading a bit of a journal. It's still first person, but it's a bit like a journal where you get a date and it will shift between dates, so you have to pay attention to the dates. Like this is April 1st. The next one would be April 2nd, but it would be 10 years into the past, so it would be like 2018.
Oh, okay, very nice.
So then the date follows the chapters, like
Yeah.
April 2nd, and then this is April 3rd and 4th, and then you're not supposed to get like a lot of these chapters where you're here in 2028. You're supposed to get like bits and pieces of them, and eventually you get more of them towards the end. Because the whole thing is jumping between the time periods until you get to the one that they're currently in, which is 2028.
Okay. Got it.
So, yeah.
Sorry, I was just writing something down. Okay, nice. Heck yeah. That's a really cool idea. I like that. I like the idea of like going back and forth with like time, and like I think there's always something that I find very like interesting and abstract with that, because like there's so much you can do, because it's like as a reader, like it's kind of similar to this notion of like this is something that I was taught, at least in my classes, like when you have a character that the example that we had was like had kind of some kind of like mental illness, you cannot always trust everything that you read, like because you're reading it from their point of view.
You're reading it from not only a biased narrator, but
right.
And what's the word they use? There's a word that's used for it. There's a word specifically for when you read it from a point of view of a narrator that's not trustworthy, or at least they don't give the full story. There's games and stuff that do it, like the Kōri. The Kōri is a perfect example.
Oh yeah.
You know the lady that tells our fortunes and stuff with the cards?
Right.
That is a perfect thing of like an untrustworthy narrator,
right,
or a biased narrator.
Yeah.
It's that sort of thing. And I did want this in this, actually.
Oh.
Because there is a dramatic shift. Because you get those dramatic shifts through time, you get those dramatic shifts through personality as well.
Ooh, yeah.
So
yeah.
you see past him, which is drastically different from current him in 2028.
Oh, okay.
And I wanted that in the story. Because here's him, and you can obviously tell he's very like calm, somber, even
Right.
very, but also very emotional and seemingly loving, even.
Yeah.
Whereas when you jump to past him, you're going to get something drastically different. You get a very blunt, to the point, pessimistic, unhappy person. You
Mm-hmm.
get a skewed vision of the world, which is still skewed to an extent because you're reading through one person's perspective in this whole story.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole philosophy behind this is the philosophy of like how you view humanity as a whole and how your
Oh.
view of humanity can shift through time,
Yeah.
because that's what the drastic change is here. You have past him, who I'll be honest, like outwardly is very self-aware and hates human beings. He just hates people. He's that kind of person that like, I wish the heat death of the universe would happen right now.
I see.
Like that kind of person is what he was in the past, versus him now, who has matured, grown more, has reflected more on his past. He is much more somber. He's even like regretful and sad. And of course, you don't have the answer to what the big problem is of like why they're in this situation. But there's these two shifts from a heavily pessimistic person who just hates everything, it seems to hate life itself,
Mm.
to a person that's much more calm and appreciates life,
Mm.
appreciates it, and appreciates people as they are, humans even for what they are, very complex. Because at the end of the day, humans are very complex creatures.
Yes.
It's not, we are both simple and complex. You can read them like a book, but at the same time you can't. And that's the kind of thing like he comes to understand a bit. Is like he just viewed everybody as kind of the same almost in a way, but as he grew, he viewed people more individually. At least the
Mm.
people he once knew, he starts to.
Oh. Okay, okay. Just jotting my notes down. Sorry. Really great ideas. Really interesting things here. Did you want to go ahead and read it? Because I want to hear.
Yeah.
I want to hear how you read it. Read it. Okay. All right. Cool. I'm gonna
Give
mute
me
now. Let's go. All right.
okay. April 1st, 2028. The afternoon sky above is clear today. I can hear what birds in their left call our way as we walk along this dirt road. Faintly, I hear the leaves below our feet crunch as we walk our way. A few leaves that come from the trees as the season shifts. Our summer days are ending slowly, and as each day passes closer to what's soon to be fall, I can't believe it's all ending this way. Hey, hurry up! I want to make it to the docks in time! I looked forward and was greeted by my close friend. His messy brown curly hair, dark tan skin, bright green eyes, and freckled covered face are a sight I truly love to see. I want to reach out and cup his face with my hand, but there's no point in doing the unnecessary. Flashing him a smile, I perk up a bit and pick up my walking pace. You okay? You've been kinda quiet lately, he asked. I'm okay. I'm just sad to see our summer ending. Why? We have so many more coming our way. I don't have the heart to tell him. Not like this. Not in the world we live in now. I allow my mouth to open and release a faint chuckle before I look at him again and smile. Excitedly, I say, You're right. I shouldn't be upset when there's so many more coming our way. That's the spirit. Hey, before the summers though, we need to finish enjoying this one. I suddenly felt a warm hand grip mine and start pulling me along through the summer's intense heat. I was barely able to keep up with the one pulling me. I struggled to pace my breathing, but it was to no avail since I was running at someone else's speed in the intense heat. We eventually stopped though, and I came face to face with the familiar sight of a giant lake, surrounded by foliage, rocks, and a few ducks. I continued to allow myself to be pulled along until we came to a small dock that leads out nearly to the center of the lake. The dock has the dock was considerably old since it hasn't been tended to for 10 years. Still, it was sturdy and didn't show any signs of collapsing as we walked forward on it. When we got to the end of it, I looked down into the water. My own reflection greeted me. Long, slightly unkempt blonde hair, sea blue eyes, pale as snow skin, and my white t-shirt that was slightly dirty and tattered. Next to my reflection was my friend's. Disgruntled, I say, I look horrible and smell no better. Yeah, you smell like something that rolled in pig shit. I'm gonna punch you. Turning on my heel, I swung myself around with my fist clenched, ready to deal a blow strong enough to knock him down into the lake. I'm too slow though. My fist goes forward but never makes contact. He already knew what I was going to do, so he ducked and tackled me into the water. Coolness suddenly washed over me. I squeezed my eyes shut until I felt pressure around my midsection lightened to nothing. I opened my eyes to see my friend grinning at me before putting his arms up and propelling himself upwards. I smiled before doing the same. As soon as fresh air greeted me, I took a large gulp of it before. Yeah, sorry. I choked on my
You're
spit for
good.
a
No, you're
moment.
good. You're good.
Before laughing like crazy. I looked beside me to see my friend laughing as well. I stung my arm in the water and splashed him in the face. This time he didn't even try to run away from it. Happily, I yell, "Horse's ass!" I know you are, but what am I? A man child, Aiden. A 28-year-old man child. Damn right I am. He quickly swam towards me. I immediately knew what he was going to do, though. He was gonna push me under. I started swimming to the dock nearby, the whole time only hearing a, "Where you going, Seb?" he yelled. I was able to make it before he caught me. I hauled myself up onto a dock and quickly scrambled to get my feet away from the edge so he couldn't pull me in. "What makes you think climbing up there will stop me?" he called out to me. I watched as he threw himself up and onto the dock. He flashed me his signature mischievous grin, before letting it disappear and letting his eyes look above me. I followed his eyes and saw the view he did. We got so caught up in messing with each other that we didn't even notice the sunset and the sky filled with fireflies. It was quite a sight. Tons of them, everywhere. They lit up the area around us, and I couldn't help but stare. "Hey Seb, come sit down so we can watch all of them." I looked forward to see Aiden sitting at the edge of the dock, swinging his legs over the edge. I made my way over and did the same. We stared and watched as all of them flew around us. It was silent until I heard singing. "If tomorrow never comes and this is my last day alive, I'd be happy if this was my final sight. To spend my last moments here with the fireflies in the sky. Truly a sight that's one of a kind. On these summer nights I can't help but to admire the cobalt blue sky and fireflies." I closed my eyes and listened to him sing. He does things like this often. It's beautiful, hearing his voice and feelings pour out into the world around us. No one is around to disturb us. No one to hurt us or take away our precious time. Truly, it's moments like these that remind me just how the world we're in has gone completely mute. Not a single sign of human life for miles around. We truly are the last two left behind. And scene.
Yay! Beautiful.
Woo!
Woo! Beautiful. Man, the ending gets me every time.
I like
Nice.
what Pax said that this one was unique and kept stringing the reader along. I never thought about that, but I kind of am.
I mean, definitely was stringing the reader along in a good way.
Yippee! I did something subconsciously without realizing.
Let's go. It'd be like that. Let's go. Now this is really awesome. I mean, I'm glad that you read it because, to be honest, like when I initially read, I think this is what set me up for like why I read it the way that I kind of read it, was the line, "I want to reach out and cup his face with my hand, but there's no point in doing the unnecessary." Like when I think about an imagery like that, I see like, you know, intimacy and like, you know, so I kind of like assumed like almost like a lover's kind of thing, right? So
It is.
okay, right. But when you read it, it was interesting because when you read it, it felt like very, very friendly, which like so when you read it, I didn't get that same feeling of like romance. I got a feeling of like friends, like, you know, the boys being boys almost kind of thing. So if that's something that you would want, where like you continue to have like these kind of like underlying romantic tones, maybe like having some more moments where there's like this holding back or whatever of like doing something, or, you know, like why.
Yeah.
I think my biggest question when I read this is like, well, why is it unnecessary? You know, like why not? Like what's stopping you? You know, like at least that's like my brain. But
Yeah.
and obviously you don't want to like answer everything, right? Obviously I don't want to do anything that's gonna make the end feel any less powerful than it is. But I would almost like want like something that I noted down is like, since you want the reader to question like what's going on as far as like the setting, right? I would almost want like even more questions to pop up as we read, where you kind of give these little notions to like how to explain this. like notions to like what was like for example these lines here where it's like I don't have the heart to tell, I'm not like this, not in the world we live in now, right? Like I wonder like that's a good part where it's like, okay, now I have a question here. And then like maybe like when you're talking about like might be a bad example, but like maybe when you're talking about like the familiar sight of a giant lake, like maybe there's this moment where the character's like, I can almost like remember, or like I can almost feel, or I can almost smell like the barbecue that people used to like do out on the lake, you know, like something like that, like something that makes us question like, okay, well, where, or like what used to be at this lake, you know, in a sense, if especially when we're talking about this theme of like time, it's kind of cool to like see like, you know, to force the reader to like ask this question of like, well, why isn't there like a barbecue on the lake right now if that's something that always happens, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think something like that, like if you want to keep the questions going, like keep the reader questioning things, I think having these little glimpses of like what used to be, right, will kind of it'll definitely keep like me on my toes, like now I've got even more questions, you know what I mean? Like, wait, well, what is this talking about, what is that talking about, you know?
Ooh, that's good. I didn't think about that, but that's really good.
Yeah,
Little remnants of the past of what once used to be.
yeah, exactly. And it kind of makes it feel like, especially I feel like that would help the ending too, to feel like almost more lonely, you know, because like you're the only, you're like they're the last two people that living people that have these memories of what once was. And I feel like that's a very lonely and isolating thing to have that power, you know, to be the only ones that know what used to be and have to live in that too, you know.
When you no longer have what used to be, when it's all changed so drastically.
Right. And you're forced to live in something like that, you know.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Also, don't worry, I'm really open to sharing what this story is like about. I've explained it on a stream even before, so I'm very okay with like saying what the main idea of the story pretty much is and everything.
Okay.
So don't be afraid to like ask me certain questions or anything about that.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Let me think. Yeah, I mean, like, it's great. I feel like just I'm trying to think of ways that like things that came up like while I was reading, and like while you're reading as well. You know, we talked about, I loved the conversation we had about like the time being distorted, or the understanding of time being warped because we're going back and forth with like the diary entries and whatnot. I definitely think that could be like a motif here, like as I said, you know, talking about reminiscing of what once was. You know, I think that'd be cool. Oh yeah, I had this one point. So you mentioned viewing how their view on humanity shifts and how it changed over time, right? So I was wondering if like maybe that could be kind of like reflected. I mean, it's commonly reflected with like the environment, right, where we've got like, you know, the apocalyptic setting to the post-apocalyptic environment. So like that's the overly done example, but maybe something like
No, I think it's a good example because when I think about this, because this story takes place 10 years in the future. And obviously, like I've said in the story, he quotes it even, it's been 10 years since somebody's tended to the dock.
right.
So I think a good visual representation of his growth could be me being more descriptive of the fauna and flora in the area. Like the when you jump back to 2018, everything seems very gray and dead. Even with people around, things don't seem to be taken care of very well. But then this could be a representation of him and his mental state and his environment.
Right.
And then like as you jump to 2028, it seems described more vibrant, more like colorful, more like, you know, alive. Versus in 2018 where it's described more dead.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about how they start to understand that humans are complex creatures, right? And I feel like what I noted was like you know, start like almost like having something like I noted like you could use like a locket, like a little necklace or something, but or like to show, like to symbolize some kind of changing in, like, you know, it gets maybe you know, there's more rust on it, but the rust has like a really pretty pattern as it goes, like it continues to create some kind of pattern or something like that. Or like the way that what I wrote was you know, in the way that you describe like wanting to have this idea of like growing up to view humans as more individual or complex. I said start with a white, like you're starting with a white Rubik's cube, and then the colors keep getting added by the end. And a Rubik's cube is not a good example, but that's what I wrote. But I just mean like having something that exists throughout the story, that like builds on itself, like the locket idea, that can like change and like become also complex to reflect the way that they're viewing or their view on that thing becomes complex. Like maybe they have like I don't know, a watch, and then like at first the watch is just described as two little bars and numbers, but then like the next time you see it, it's the two bars and numbers, and oh, there's a little diamond in the middle there. And then the next time you see it, oh, there's also like a even smaller bar that's ticking the seconds. You know what I mean? Like something like that, where it builds on itself to become like where, and then the character is like, oh, this is actually a lot more complex than I thought it was. Like now I'm seeing this watch for like what it is, versus just like glancing at it. Like I'm really taking a look at this watch and I'm seeing it for the first time. That's an idea that
I really like that actually, and I kind of had an idea that I bounced around for this one, and the idea was, you know how this is supposed to be like a journal. I wanted him to have his own journal that he kept through the 10 years, where like he sketched or he put his own personal thoughts and feelings down, kind of like a diary. So like, I wanted that, and I wanted that little thing in his writing to be pretty much where he would put the feelings he couldn't speak out into the world.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell my friend this, even though like a part of me wants to.
Yeah.
So instead, I'm going to write it in here, and my friend will respect my privacy, so I can freely write it in here.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I mean, like something else, just a random idea. You don't have to follow through with this at all, but just an idea that I had was like, you know, this part with like this song, like this poetry moment. I almost feel like, what if you, like, just an idea, throwing it out there, what if you had like every time they did like a diary entry, they ended it with something like a poem,
Almost a
or
poetic. Yeah.
yeah, but as like depending on the date, like the poem is like more complex or less complex, or you know, like, you know, things like that. Like that'd be kind of cool too, like if you wanted to. that
I think
might
that
be
would
cool.
actually, that's a great idea, because again, like I said, there's a drastic difference between 2018 him and 2028 him. And I think the simpler, blunt to the point poems would be good in the beginning, and then they slowly shift, or you see they are different in the 2028 version, because in the 2028 version of him, he's different, he's changed.
Right.
And I think it would be good to get these little moments like that, like you described. I think that would be a great idea to, like, you know, basically show the change in him, the complexity of his emotions has changed, how he understands how complex they are now.
Yeah. Nice. That'd be awesome. I mean, I'm partial to poetry, so maybe that's just me. But you know, you can do it in other ways. You don't have to do it through a poem, you know. But maybe something else, like the way that they title their diary entries. Like it could be as simple as that. You know what I mean? But okay. I think. Oh yeah, I wanted to ask. Is it? I don't know if this is okay to ask. You don't have to answer if it's not something that.
That's okay.
Is there like why do we have like this point, like this like that? My question here is like why was it unnecessary, like to why did they use that terminology? Like I find that very interesting, the way that terminology here. Like I want to do something that is very intimate and beautiful, but it's not necessary. Like why is it not necessary? Like that's what I want to know.
So this leads into the main theme of the story, which is, I guess, the antagonist, but it's not really a person, it's an event. And the event is that at one point in time in this story, what had happened was when he was at his lowest and he was at his worst, and basically, like, a little warning right here, he basically was considering, you know, what's the YouTube friendly way of putting it, canceling his life subscription. We'll go with that. when he was basically considering that, what had happened was on that day, as time goes through the story, you're supposed to get these little hints that the sky is for some reason losing its blue hue and it's turning more red.
Mm.
And one day, the sky is bright, it turns bright red,
Mm.
and it suddenly feels hot and so suffocatingly hot, like you can't breathe. And
Mm.
he's even struggling to breathe. Like, it stops him before he can do anything to himself, basically. And like he
Oh.
struggles, he grabs his throat and everything, and he passes out essentially. When he
Oh.
comes to, he realizes that the event killed everyone else, it seems. Everyone else just died, dropped dead. And so basically, what happened now is he found his friend after that event. They stuck together because they were the only two people. At first, it's because they were the only two people, and then it was because they really cared about each other. And along the way, he obviously fell in love with his friend. And he wants to show and be with him, obviously. But the reason he doesn't is because he can see the sky turning red again. And he thinks this time
Oh.
they aren't going to get lucky and survive through a second wave of whatever happened.
Oh
They're not going to
shit.
survive a second wave of basically what could be. And I don't ever explain what it is. I don't want to like say what it is. I want to just leave it to the reader to think about what it could be that
Mm.
caused this whole phenomenon,
Yeah.
which is basically the suffocating heat in the red sky.
Mm. That's pretty
And
cool.
yeah. Damn, the club floor soaked in tears right now. Pat got me laughing. But basically, he doesn't act on his feelings because he is very certain they're going to die. And he
Oh.
does not want to say, I love you, let's be together forever, when there's a chance it's just going to hurt them even more when the time comes for them to inevitably, die.
Dang.
And it's a really intense thing that I want him to struggle with, that you see him struggling with as you go through the chapters that take place in like 2028. And
Mm-hmm.
like, I want there to be those strong moments, especially at the end, because I already know what I want him to do.
Mm.
I knew what I want him to do for the end already. In the
Mm-hmm.
end, I want him to like basically, he doesn't want to die. He admits it. Before in 2018, he was a very depressed person that says he just wanted to like, he wanted everything to end. He wanted
Right.
it all to end, himself and the world. But now he's grown to a point where he has enjoyed his life. He
Mm.
wants to be with his best friend. He wants to tell him how he feels,
Yeah.
but he can't because he knows it's going to hurt them both even more. And at the end, I want him to basically, before the event happens and the end comes, I want it to be something where like he refuses to frown or anything. At the end, he cries, but it's like he's smiling, crying, and
Oh.
he's like trying to comfort his friend in a way and say, basically, like he doesn't want to just say it's over, everything's horrible is happening. He doesn't want to go back to being what he was, basically,
Oh
in
yeah,
his
yeah.
final moment. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, instead of saying something like it's all ending, he says basically to his friend in their final moments, he's like, what do you want to do before what do you want to do before summer ends, basically, like asking these questions of like things are going to continue to be normal and
Yeah.
like they were. And his last thoughts and feelings basically being like, uh I being like, I hope what in whatever's next and after this that I can be next to you again.
Oh, that's so sad.
It is supposed to be showing this growth of being a person,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
your growth from being a very pessimistic person who hates everything to being somebody who can understand, like understanding that the world is has some flaws. The world is flawed.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always fair. It's not always nice. People can suck. People can be nice, and good people can get hurt. It's this whole thing of understanding that the world itself is not perfect and complex.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to feel that way because a little thing about Senna, Senna used to be so pessimistic about life. I used to like basically be our main protagonist here in a way.
Hmm.
Not to like a super extreme like I want him to be. I want him
Mm-hmm.
to be a bit more extreme with his emotions. Uh, but like I used to basically think like very pessimistic and everything. I used to be like, there's no point to anything. There's no point to any of this. It's all worthless. And like, so this is a reflection of myself and my growth as well as a person. From the negative person I used to be to the person I am now that understands the world a bit better. Because again, when we're because this takes place while he was 18, when he was a teenager about to graduate, versus now he's a 28-year-old adult.
Right.
And like, this is basically like, you know, it shows a bit like, because during our teen years we get our vision of the world is very skewed during that time, I realize.
Oh yeah.
Because talking to my friends and everything that I grew up with, when we all look back, we're like, damn, our way of viewing the world was kind of twisted and messed up for a little bit there. And I'm like, yeah. But then we grow up and we calm down and we're like, okay, we've got a grip on everything a little bit better now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how I wanted this story to be. You see somebody almost in a way coming of age and maturing and understanding the world more. So you have a skewed narrator's viewpoint that changes in a way, but it changes for the better.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I mean, that's life, right? Like sometimes you gotta go through some really crazy times as your rebellious years, as some call it, and to be able to like step back and be like, okay, we did that, but like what is it that the rest of my life is gonna be like? We need those times to like mature for sure. So no, that's really beautiful. I think. And I could definitely
put it lightly that we need those times to mature.
Some people still need those. No, I'm kidding.
There are a lot of people that still need those, to be honest.
Anyway, this isn't a dumpster fire podcast today. Anyway.
Another time.
Another podcast. Yeah. I think on that note of like maturity, something that I noted was I really liked that I loved seeing ways that authors obviously, well, one, I just want to comment that I love seeing the way that you've kind of like imprinted your own experiences and personality in life like within these characters, and that makes the characters feel so much more real, which I really appreciate. And I love hearing like you talk about it, so thanks for sharing that. That's really cool. And I think
it's a thing sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's a thing I do with my writing with pretty much every character. There's a little bit of me in every character. Like our main character here, he has like, of course, his change, his growth, which is a big part of me. And then his friend, even though you don't get a lot from his friend represents the good in people, the individuality in people, as well as the flaws in people you can find but still love them.
Yeah.
Like his friend is supposed to represent also optimism in a way.
Yeah.
Which was a part of me that, I'll be honest, I had when I was way younger. Like, you're a little kid and you're like, the world is all sunshine, rainbows.
Right.
And then you hit your preteen years and you're like, the world sucks ass. And then you grow up and in a way you kind of get a bit of a grasp on both. You get a realistic grasp.
Yeah.
But you can still be hopeful.
Yeah.
And that's what his friend like represents, is like, it can be hope. He's a bit of hopefulness, but not like naive hopefulness. It's a bit more realistic.
Yeah, I definitely get those vibes from like the characters. And again, like the fact that you have experienced those things and are kind of translating it through these characters is always really, I just really appreciate you sharing, and like it's really cool to hear because I can see it, and it makes them more real to me. But so, what I was gonna say was that I really love it when authors find ways to describe like what the character, like who I looks like. And like I love that you present it in a way where they're looking at a reflection in like the lake water. I think it's really nice because I feel like too often than not, like when I used to read stuff, I always just like, you just got the description and I was just like, well, okay, but like that was pretty lame. Like I was like, okay, cool, I guess.
There's no creativity in it. I was like, how can I describe? Obviously, it's easy to describe the friend because he's being looked at.
Right.
But how do I describe our main protagonist?
Exactly.
And I thought about it, and I had to think of a setting that would allow that. And I was like, mirrors seem too easy, and not as not the like theme, the aesthetic, the vibe I want.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, wait, no, the world's unkempt and overgrown. And it's a little bit more wild. So what about the water?
Yeah, very nice. I like that a lot. What I was gonna say is that I feel like I would want because we talked about like maturity and whatnot, right? And I think I would love to see. Obviously, this is only like one part of a longer story, but I think where we talk about the main character's like reflection, we talk about unkempt blonde hair, sea blue eyes, right? I would kind of like want to I don't know, maybe like a more description on like what else, like how they've changed over the years. Like maybe at this point they've got what is like something common, like, oh, they've kind of got like these like notions of like aging. Like maybe now they have a little bit of like a sun beauty spot or something like that. Ooh. From being out in the sun for too long, or I don't know, like it's just little things like that, or like freckles maybe, or some kind of like I know maybe
that wrinkles even.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say wrinkles. Like I think wrinkles is often something that associates with like time and wisdom, right? So maybe things like that would be pretty nice, and how the time is affecting their time, the time and their maturing personality and thoughts are affecting their own like reflection, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So that'd be cool.
That'd be good. Mm-hmm. I've always wanted. I like doing descriptions. I've always known I needed to sometimes do a little better with like character descriptions, because I want to make them be something you can visualize in your mind very well. I just want to make sure I'm writing it in a way that's not overwhelming, because I have written character descriptions and I have felt like they were a bit too overwhelming with how they were written.
Yeah.
Like too much detail.
Right.
Versus with this, I feel like I need to add more to it, but add more to it in a kind of almost like, a poetic sense almost.
Yeah. And I definitely hear you. I feel like I still struggle with that too. Like you always want to give enough information to like get the image that you have in your head across to the reader, but not too much where it's like now it's just like overbearing, and like now it's almost confusing for the reader because you put so much in there. It's like, okay, well, you don't leave anything up to the reader's imagination, because when I say tree, you might think of a palm tree and I'm thinking of an oak tree, you know what I mean? So like that the imagination kind of has to be like left up to some of it has to be left up to the reader, and having that balance is definitely like super difficult. So I definitely hear you. I
do get that. That's why I kind of try to specify like seasons in this one, like the shift in leaves, because immediately your mind would go to birch, oak, stuff like that. Because that's the kind of environment I want you to visualize, is the one where obviously maybe something more like in the Midwest, where like Midwest. I'm sorry. I can't help but think of mid. But like, the Midwest basically, with like, the seasons changing and everything, with like summer, fall, winter, and the leaves change and all that nice jazz.
Yeah, absolutely. I think something like you mentioned, how to make describing their appearance more like poetic. Like I said, I love the fact that you had this character go to like the water, and like maybe it's not as simple, like maybe you don't even have to say they have wrinkles. Maybe you could say the water creates ripples on my reflection, making me look more mature. Like that sounds like shit, but you know what I mean? Like
no, I get what you mean.
Yeah,
I'd probably say something like the water ripples make me look older than I am.
Yeah, something like that, definitely, because you could obviously use the environment, to your advantage here, especially because it's such a unique way to introduce a character description. So very nice, very nice. I think one thing that I wanted to mention was when I read, and this is kind of like I don't know if this is something that sounds weird, but basically like...
Oh, no, I understand if it's a little weird. This is more unique for my writing, honestly. So go ahead.
I was just going to say like because there's a lot of questions, I think, building up throughout this like portion, this part here where it was silent until I heard singing, I wasn't quite sure who was singing because I wasn't sure, like, obviously it seems like they were at an empty dock, but I couldn't be sure because obviously you're not like directly telling the reader like, hey, there's no one else here, so it's only these two, and that's why it's only this person singing. But like obviously we read it at the bottom that like who's the person that's singing, but like I think like when we kind of want to know like a little bit before this stanza, like, okay, you know, it's Aiden that's singing, or like I look at Aiden and I see Aiden start to, you know, close their eyes and start taking in this, they like start, I don't know, moving their lips or humming, and then it turns into singing. Like just something like here that like reminds the reader that, okay, this is who it is. Just because it's like, for me, I was like, wait, I for a second I thought there was someone else singing. So that's just a thing that like I'm letting you know as the reader that I experienced at this particular part. So I don't know if that's something that, if you want to keep it like that, that's totally cool. This is all up to you. But obviously it's like, I'm just letting you know this is my perspective. Like when I read that, I wasn't sure who was singing. So if that's something that you want to make clear, then like for sure, or you can keep it as a question. That's totally fine too, you know? So
For me, I really do like the feedback. I did write it this way on purpose for a reason though.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be a bit shocked that you just suddenly hear singing a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I want it to be a little bit because it's like something you wouldn't expect right there in the book. You just wouldn't expect suddenly to just have like just a little bit of singing right there.
That's true.
You wouldn't
Yeah.
really expect it. So that's why I put it there. And like, of course you get the answer to your question, but it's also there to lead into the main little snippet of an answer to the big question you have.
That's true. That's
why it's written that way. That's not to say I don't like the feedback and that it's not something for me to consider. I still want to consider it. If there's a way to write it better, I would 100% want to write it better. But like, I will say I did write it that specific way so it could lead up into answering a little bit of the bigger question the reader has.
That makes sense. For sure. Yeah, I mean, again, it's all just like throwing thoughts and ideas out there and whatnot. So, but that does make sense what you said. And like I said, it does like make me question. So as you know, when the purpose or the point is to make me question things, that is obviously doing its job there. So, no, that works. That definitely works.
Yeah.
I know that you talked about dialogue here and you wanted some feedback, I think, on the structure of the dialogue.
Yeah, because I am not the best with dialogue, and I want to improve it as much as I can because it's very important I improve dialogue, especially since, you know, visual novel games.
Yes.
That's probably a really good thing to improve upon before
That's
I start
true.
that.
I feel it. Well, it depends. I will say, you know, and this is my degree talking, dialogue is a tough thing. So it's totally okay that it's not something that comes natural even for me. It's something that it is very hard to master. Because it's also something that very much depends on your medium, as like all writing is. But like for a visual novel, I feel like the rules are a little bit different for a visual novel as far as dialogue goes.
It is. It's a little bit different. I just want to know, like, if there's anything I can learn, like, from this that could be translated over, not just into regular writing, but into writing for that as well.
Yeah, that's fair. While I'm talking about my feedback for the dialogue, I'll just be focused on this medium, on like the, you know, on this kind of like short story kind of medium versus the visual novel. Just to clarify. But you're right. There is definitely things that could be carried over or translated into visual novel writing as well. But just so that way that's clear, because I don't want to confuse you or anything like that.
No, I understand. Go ahead.
Sweet. Something that I learned, like you had a concern about these kind of like blocks of text, or like these 3-liners, for example, where there's kind of like a back and forth and not anything in between. To be honest, I've never heard of like a particular rule, like when you should have like this back to back without the he asked or she said thing. I don't think I've ever heard of a particular rule of like when you should have that. I do know that it shouldn't be more than like, you know, 5 lines, I think max. But and again, this depends on the medium, but looking at this one here, I think like one way to help both build character and the dialogue and the scene is to be able to have movement with the dialogue. And so, for an example, like like when they say, let's see, you okay? You've been kind of quiet lately. He asked, picking up a stick and twiddling it with in between his fingers. And then something else, just while we're on these two lines, something else that was like jammed into my brain was like, with dialogue, you want to try, like, what I was taught was that effective dialogue, especially in short stories, less is more. And when someone's asking a question, you want to try not to directly answer it with dialogue. So we have here, and this is just the example that we have, like, you okay, like, it's and then someone responding with, I'm okay, just sad to see their summer ending. Like, I'm sure, like, saying like the I'm just sad to see your summer ending thing is fine, but like, instead of saying I'm okay, what if we instead had a moment where that reflects this line that's after, that says, I don't have the heart to tell him. Like, what if they look down and they, like, pinch their thumb or something like that to, like, distract themselves, or they, like, look distract, or like they avert their eyes because they're, like, lying. You know what I mean? Like, something like that they do in motion, that you can have here. So it doesn't always have to be he said, he exclaimed, he yelled, or whatever. Like, it can be like, he said while doing this, or he,
It can be a bit more animated, I guess is the way to put it.
Right.
You can almost like write it like it's animated in a way.
Exactly.
Give you something a little bit visually to see.
Yes, and it helps for the reader too, because dialogue can be very tricky, right? Because it's like, you can't always say that they have an accent, for example. Like, how do I know that these two don't have accents? So I just don't read them with one, or maybe someone else has a read and they do read it with one. So it's like, there's a lot with dialogue that, like, almost too much that can be left up to the reader. So, which is fine, but at the same time, like, dialogue also very much shapes the character, right? So for me, I personally try to make it a rule, like, when I have dialogue, I find it important to also have motions that follow up the dialogue, because it's like, I want to show, like, yes, you can read this dialogue out loud however you'd like, but this is the motion that follows that. This is the motion that's reflecting the emotion that is coming out of this dialogue. So that's a general rule that I personally like to follow, as well as, like, not ever directly answering questions. Like, instead, I like to answer questions with description, or, again, movements. So that's one way that, like, if you feel like there's too much of these happening, where, like, you don't know what to put, but you do kind of want, like, a back and forth, just have, like, a short, like, one or half a sentence about something that they do with their emotion, that could kind of help break up, or visually, and also just writing wise, break up the dialogue a little bit, so it feels less of like a back and forth and really like a movie scene, because you're also seeing them do a movement while they're saying these lines.
I can see that. I think that would be good. The only thing with dialogue that's really tricky for me is the whole not immediately answering a question, because I feel like, again, I like to take a more realistic approach sometimes with how characters react to certain situations. And some people just straight up answer like, I'm okay. I'm just kind of sad about this.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah.
And that's like a really hard thing for me to get past, is like, yeah, that animated thing is really cool and I should use it. I should. I want to balance it though with a little bit of what I did, because I want, again, a little bit more of a realistic approach. And I know that's breaking like the dialogue rule, but realistically, some people just answer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I was just using what was here as an example. Like, I agree that, like, this is such a simple, like, you start off, like, I think this is a good interaction to start off with, because there's like this, they're asking a question because they care, and they're answering, but they're hiding something. You know what I mean? So, like, I do think that, like, this dialogue makes sense. But, like, I was just using this as an example because it was like on the screen. But yeah, like,
100%. I think it was like a great example. Honestly, it leaves me like thinking about like ways I can write it better. It honestly really does, because again, I need to balance it. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I could do uh I feel like I can do like the whole not answering the question immediately thing. And like, give it more visualization as I write it, but then also keep it simple in certain parts like this one, where it
Yeah.
can just be straight to the point.
Right. Exactly. I totally agree. I think like when you're trying to do, I feel like that particular dialogue rule about not answering the question, I feel like that works a lot better when you have characters that are like, not like complex, but just like there's like particular conflicts or external conflicts that are forcing them to not answer questions, or their personality as well is one that doesn't answer questions. But you're right, like more realistically, that's not what happens. Obviously, but for most people they answer the question, but
Yeah.
but that's just like, again, that's just what I was taught. So but yeah, it helps, like it reminds me, or it tells me to ask myself, like, is this necessary, or like is like what am I trying to do with these lines? Because they say, like, you have to make every line count, like when you write something. So it's like it
Yeah.
continues to force you to ask yourself, does this make sense? Is this working for what I'm trying to do? So if nothing else, that helps you like build on your points and whatnot throughout the story. So yeah. Yeah. um yeah, I think I mean, the dialogue seems fine to me. I feel like I'll be honest, I feel like I also, like I said, I struggle with dialogue too, so I don't know if
It's
I'm always like,
hard, man.
it
It's
is.
hard.
It is. It really is. I think like I think this, like, the movement thing is my biggest thing. I like, I mean, and that's also just my preference. Maybe that's also something that you don't have to include if you don't want to. But like
I
here,
think it'd be good to include it. I think
mm,
it'd be good in certain scenes and like moments. I have to just think about the moments more. Like, will it add more to this, or will it just be too much like clutter?
right, that's true. Right, you don't want it to be too clutter, like you said, exactly. I agree. Yeah, I mean, overall, I think I like also seeing like the disgruntled or like excitedly moments. It just kind of like anything to help like continue to guide the reader on like how they should read this dialogue. It is like very nice. At least, like, maybe this is just my bias as like a reader, but like it helps me, like, understand, like, okay, this is the emotion that they're saying it in. Because again, dialogue can be so abstract in the way that I read it definitely differently than the way that you read the dialogue. So, depending on what emotions you want to get through, or if it's something that you just want to leave up to the imagination, like you just want the reader to feel, because like especially this part, right? Because this is between like two like really good friends, so it's like I would assume the reader would read these things as like they're talking to a friend as well. So it's
Hmm.
like that you definitely don't want to overboard it for sure, but yeah, I think the dialogue is great. I think that everything that you have here um, is it makes sense, and I feel like it builds on the characters. Um, yeah,
Well, I'm glad, and I'm glad to know I at least have a basic grasp on it.
yeah,
At
for
the very
sure.
least, I got the basics.
There you go. There you go. Yes. Do I have anything else? Hmm. I don't have anything else. I think I went over all of my notes here. Um, do you feel like, is there anything that I didn't cover, or do you have any questions or any other thoughts?
Hmm. We already discussed the singing part.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, how does it feel visually looking at the singing part? Like, does it stand out a little bit more? Because I did want it to pop a little bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like seeing the italics, if you really wanted it to pop more, and again, this is just my poetry brain talking, messing with the structure, not the structure, sorry, how it appears visually. I don't know if you've seen like my poetry in the past, but like I tend to have lines that are like across the screen, like almost like there's some on the right side, the right margin, there's some on the left margin. So like having them kind of like almost like spread out, or you could even do like a almost like a Z with it, or like make a certain shape with the lines, just to make it feel almost more like, because when you read, when you, how do I explain this? Almost like when you read music, like a music sheet, obviously it's very like horizontal, but there's like these symbols in there that kind of make this like, there's shapes, right? And so like creating like a shape with your poetry, and especially if they're singing something, could help make it stand out, because it's like they're singing like a tune, and usually when you're singing like a tune, there's ups and downs, like, you know, you go up an octave, you go down an octave, or you sing it in this pitch, you know what I mean? So like having it maybe not, like if you really wanted to add extra, like this is totally optional, if you really wanted to add extra to make it more like a song, a poetic song, that is a possibility, is like to shift the words over a little bit, or create a shape. Like if they're by the ocean, you could make it look like the ripples in the water. Does that make any sense?
No, that makes sense. I get it. It's like you're trying to make it visually pop a little bit more and make it flow. If it's like something about an environment, even, you make it like, you know, kind of stand out more.
Right.
Like for this, like I did go with what you said, like a little bit of the lines. Like there's long then short, long then short,
Right.
long then short. But I could do things that make it pop more. Like every time we have something about like fireflies or light, even, I could like bold it.
Yeah, that's true. That's a great idea. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's a really pretty idea. I can imagine that. I could also super imagine this in a VN. I mean, I know you just because you were talking about it like as of late. I was like, man, this would be so nice in a VN too. Like I just imagine it all. Like, it would be really beautiful. But yeah, no, I think it looks great, and it definitely stands out. But yeah, just what I said was just like if you wanted to stand out even more, almost. But I'd also like want to, just on the topic of like structure wise or formatting, I think singling out like this "we are truly the last two left behind." Sorry, I said that so badly. It's such a good line and I messed it up. I'm sorry. I had one job. Anyway, yeah.
One job. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I think like singling that out to really continue this feeling of like isolation and forcing the reader to really sit on that, you know, like, damn, because that's such a powerful last line. And like you know, again, it's up to you, obviously, but having,
it's a great idea, honestly.
Yeah,
I like, again, I'm proud of that last line a lot, and I wanted it to be powerful. And if I could make it even more powerful by like separating it out and like just kind of, you know, probably doing something unique with it, I could italicize it, or like bold it even, or maybe even both if I really wanted to be super on the nose with it.
yeah,
But I feel like if that is a way to make it like pop more and show how much more like, you know, serious it is, that I would really like that.
yeah. That would, in my opinion, I feel like that could help kind of solidify that last line a little bit extra. But I mean, it's already so powerful in itself, you know. So it's great. This is a really, really great story. I love the description of like the doc too, you know, because it makes you question like, wait a second, what do you mean it hasn't been 10 and 2 for 10 years? You know what I mean? Yeah, so yeah, I feel like that's really nice.
I was a bit more descriptive with this one, definitely, which is definitely like better. I probably could add a few more to bits and pieces here and there, but like I am more proud of the description I've done here than the other one, because I mean, obviously the other one is like older. I haven't touched it in a long minute, but like this one was more recent, and I'm happy to see that I have grown a little bit with
For
my
sure.
writing, and I've done my descriptions better here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, this one, I mean, in this particular story, I feel like the setting really matters, because we're in like this distant future kind of thing, you know what I mean? And like it definitely matters, especially like post-apocalyptic kind of like settings, you know. It really matters to be descriptive of like the setting, because that's where like probably most of the questions come from as like a reader, but also like the most it's also like just the most, it's very interesting to see like how things would change, because that's always like a question. I mean, that's why there's so many movies and theories on what the future would be like, because we are just curious about, like, naturally curious about those things, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is I definitely, I mean, I can definitely see how you evolved in that here as well, like the description, like as you said. I can see how it evolved, and even like you know, this the spacing here too. I mean, obviously there's a dialogue that helps with the spacing, but you know, like versus the last story, which was, you know, kind of like a very straightforward like text through and through of the 3 pages. Like we've got a lot more breakage here, a lot more like, and obviously it's inherent by what we're talking about, but a lot more space to like breathe, you know what I mean, which makes sense because it's
Yeah.
like we're talking about a more wholesome story. At least this part of it is more wholesome because it's sad. You
And
know?
that's a bittersweet story, as I put
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it is bittersweet.
You get wholesome moments in it though, which is like what's most important. The story overall is bittersweet. The
Mm-hmm.
chapter is very wholesome though, and
Yes.
somewhat ominous.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. 100%. Um, but yeah, no, this is really great, and I would love to see like where you take this story, because I feel like there's, you know, we talked about so many very interesting things, and I also took like philosophy classes when I was in university, so that's something that intrigues me. And it, like the only thing that I learned from philosophy is that like once you think you know something, you absolutely fucking don't. So that's
Oh
like
yeah, and
that's
that's
what
like a
it,
big thing with the protagonist I want to portray. He
yeah.
thinks he knows the world and human beings as a whole, but he
Mhm.
doesn't. Hence the whole growth to recognizing individuality and the complexities of people.
Yeah. Are you like thinking about if there, I don't know if there are other characters like in the past, but are you considering like being like a near automata and like naming characters like philosophers?
I've considered it though not entirely certain yet.
Mm.
Maybe a few, but mostly the characters I want in there are going to be what I deem the most important of the cast, which is like obviously the main protagonist's main family he had,
Mhm.
along with the few friendships he had, and of course the environment he was in as well, like his school environment he was in before he got close to graduation and everything.
Mm. Okay. Okay.
Those are like the main things I want to focus on. Though I am certain there are probably a few things I would like to put in there though.
Mhm.
Like I would like to put like you said, like things about philosophers and stuff, and the quote of like once you think you know everything, you don't. I
Yeah.
want to put that in there. I've been wanting to put that in there. And I want to put it in there and probably put like a really elderly old teacher in there that says it to him.
Mm.
Like, you think you know everything. And once you assume you know everything, you don't know everything.
Mhm.
It, I feel like that would be really good to have from a very old character like that because it shows a wisdom with age.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. With time, which is of the like a motif throughout the story.
Yeah, and he doesn't have that wisdom obviously because back in the past he was only 18. He was an
Yep.
18-year-old about to go out into the world. He did not know jack shit about anything outside of where he grew up.
Yep.
He had no clue of anything.
Mhm.
uh, versus in the future, where despite the world having seemingly ended, he did get to travel a bit. He got to travel, he got to explore a little bit, he got to walk around basically. He basically got to do the equivalent of like backpacking. He like traveled.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he has like basically select locations he goes back to and everything that he likes a whole lot. It's that sort of thing. He kind of is forced to kind of pick up and move a bit so he's not sedentary and going crazy.
Mm.
So he's forced in a way out into the world like he was going to be before. But instead of like going out into the world from before, he's going out into a new world where he kind of is having to acknowledge what was there.
Mm.
I have
Yeah.
to acknowledge who was here. I have to acknowledge what was here, the culture that could have been here, the people that could have been here. It's that
Mm.
sort of thing.
Wow.
It it's the whole thing of like educating yourself on the world with the things that once made up the world.
Ooh, yeah, that's pretty nice. I like that. That's a cool theme. That's a really cool theme. I think there's a lot to build on that for sure. Yeah. I don't know. Do I have any? I don't think I have anything else. I mean, like overall, just like really, again, just like a really wonderful foundation for something that like I could tell would be phenomenal, and just like it's a really great, solid start. So much to build off of. So many like questions here that like it's such a good. I saw it too many times like a beginning that does not hook the reader, and it's so funny because that's something that we learned like in
You
like
have to hook them first thing. You have to
right
get them like a fish. You have to make them want to bite the bait.
right exactly. And I feel like this is such a it starts off so endearing, you know, you're just hanging out with a friend and like, you know, having this little playful banter, and then it ends with something so freaking powerful that you're just like, well, now I have to read this all in one night, you know what I mean? Like
And it feeds it to you little by little the seriousness of the tone while still covering it in a way with some sweet moments.
right.
Like that was the whole point, is to put those questions in your head that you want answered, as well as like uh give you tidbits of little things, just little things.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like a little cake. There's different layers to it, and you get a different layer each time.
Yeah.
You don't get the whole scoop in one bite. You only get one little layer at a time.
Yeah, exactly. One little layer.
And that's what I wanted, and I'm happy it conveys a lot of what I wanted, honestly.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I really like your writing style. Again, like I think you know how to like pinpoint particular emotions and really draw that out of the reader. And that's something that you would be surprised not it's hard to do. It's hard to do that. So no, that you did an amazing job, and I'm so glad that I was able to experience this and hear you read it out loud, read these pieces out loud too. And thank you so much for sharing and again being vulnerable with your works. This is so awesome.
I definitely have to say, out of all my works, this is probably the one that is. Uh, I love my horror little stories and everything. I love the other ideas I have, but for uh, this one I have to feel like is my most personal work because it reflects a lot of me personally,
Mm-hmm.
and so the emotions in there for me, I'm glad I can convey emotions decent to very well in like my writing. I especially love it in this one though because a lot of it rings true with a version of me that existed in the past,
Yeah.
like in a version of me that exists now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can write, I feel like I can convey these emotions so well because I have experienced these emotions, and it makes me very happy that I was able to articulate them in the writing very well.
Yeah, absolutely. You did. You did. Great job. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, you did
Thank you,
so great. Yes, please keep writing. Please, I'm so excited for, you know, when you if you do like the VN, you know, and it sounds like you will, hopefully. If you do like that process, you know, I know you would be absolutely amazing at that. And I cannot wait for that day to come where you release the demo or whatever you decide to release. You know, I know it'd be super cool. But no matter what, like, you know, please keep writing. Like it's such great writing. There's so much that I see, so much like already here, and also potential, and just like I don't know, just it's a really great mixture that you have of like description and internal and external conflicts. I hear all your ideas, and I think they're all such like unique and fun ideas to like, you know, work with. So like I don't know, all of it sounds like it all sounds like so great, and I'm just like really excited for you to continue writing and to read more, honestly. So yeah, yes, thank you.
Well, I'm excited to write more and like work on more and see what projects I can do that can enhance what I've already made
Mm-hmm.
because I want to. And if I really like it, I think it'd be a chance not only just beneficial to me mentally and emotionally to be able to write like stories that resonate a lot with me on a personal level, but just also to like be able to share my work and my creativity and everything, and show like my process and the thoughts, the feelings, the ideas, and all the work that went into it.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, it's so cool. I honestly like love these streams because I get to hear like the author's thoughts and stuff. Like it makes me like so like fangirl because I'm like, okay, but I get the behind the scenes, okay?
You get to pick their brain.
Yeah. So it's really awesome. But yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to say. I mean, I could keep showering you in compliments, but we'd be here all night. So
And then we'd be here even longer because I'd have to turn the tables and be like, no, you are amazing. Your writing is amazing. It would be nonstop.
it would be nonstop. I know. But is there anything else that you wanted to talk about, or maybe projects or things going on that you want to tell the world right now? I'll give the stage to you.
I don't really have anything else about the writing, really. The only things really that I have big left to tell about myself and my future projects is, of course, like you guys know, Corey has inspired me over here. This beautiful, beautiful, wonderful person over here to the side, with this beautiful blue and purple eye and this wonderful crown, uh, has inspired me to want to look into making a visual novel game, and I really want to try it as I feel it's a medium I could definitely possibly thrive in. And I definitely think it's something I could do for fun, obviously, for more than just VTuber stuff, but I could probably just make VNs and make video games maybe on the regular if I really like it a whole lot. And then beyond the visual novel stuff I want to look into, I guess the only other big project I have is I've been planning a debut, a
Woo!
live 2D debut. I have a model that is currently getting rigged. And the rig is taking a little longer than expected, but like it is perfectly fine. But I'm planning a live 2D debut. I've gotten a majority of things ready. I'm just waiting on the model pretty much, and I'll soon have a whole look. And I will be pretty much. I'll go from small gremlin. Not that the small gremlin form will disappear. This will always be here. I am attached to this model like it's nobody's business. But I am gonna like turn into basically waifu form.
Let's go!
Ooh.
Woo! You're always waifu form, okay, Cinna?
Aww. You I'm a little small bean like this, just a little gremlin.
Yeah, I mean, the uppies, all right? It makes me want to do the uppies.
Uppies.
See?
Uppies, uppies, uppies. Uppies, uppies, uppies.
So cute. I love it. Well, we're excited for all that. I'm so excited. There's so many cool things going on, and please check out Cinna. Everybody, Cinna's card link and YouTube link are all in the description. Okay, so please check out Cinna. Cinna's amazing. Cinna was also, fun fact, Cinna was also in the VTuber, a very VTuber Christmas song. Which I know it's not Christmas, but we're almost there. Surprisingly, we're halfway through.
Time's passing too quick. Go back.
I know. But Cinna was also in that song, so please check Cinna and the song out if you want. But mostly Cinna, okay? Because Cinna does a lot of cool stuff, and I always have a lot of fun on Cinna's streams. So I know that you will have fun on Cinna's streams, okay?
Aw.
Heck yeah.
I'm glad I can get people to chuckle. I try my best. I try my best.
Yeah.
I'm just a silly little person, but I try my best.
Very nice. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on and again sharing your wonderful works. And
Of course, I enjoyed it. Loved it.
yeah, I would love to do it again for sure. It was a lot of fun. And thank you for listening and accepting my feedback as well. I appreciate it.
Of course. I like having somebody that can give me like constructive feedback and everything, because I could get feedback like of course I could just drop this to my parents and they'd just be like, give me feedback. But it's different getting feedback from somebody who actively writes and has even a degree in it. And it's a different experience, and it's a different kind of feedback, and it's in my opinion more constructive and better than what you can get from the average person. Because not only do you know what to look out for, but you have like tips and stuff on things that can make it pop more and add on to it more. And it's very, very great, honestly. And it makes me happy because it's like I want to implement these things. Because again, motifs I've used subconsciously in my writing, but I've never just sat down and thought about putting them in. And that's something that now that you've mentioned it, during the stream that's really important that I would love to implement more. Like there's little things giving you little hints as to what's happening.
Yes, exactly. I'm a big like sucker for those. So I'm a little bit biased to be fair, but I'm a big sucker for those. So
Don't worry, I'm a big old fan of like symbolism. I
yeah,
love when things are used as symbols in writing. I
yeah.
love it, especially with certain things. It's like, oh, this is representative of somebody's depression. This is representative of somebody's joy. This is of their
Mhm.
lust or something like that. And I think it's
Yes.
so cool. Like say somebody has a rose, and that rose represents their love for another person. The rose dies, and that represents the death of their love for that person.
Yeah.
I love that kind of symbolism.
I know, it's so great. It's so great. And it helps a
It's
lot when you
so
write
good.
cuz it helps you like write things that are more descriptive, you know, like it's both like it's both like useful for the plot and also useful for like the writing itself, you know what I mean? So, and the writing process, it makes it more fun in my opinion, but I'm biased, so but yes. Well, thank you. I mean, I don't know if you have anything else to say, feel free to. But yeah, everyone
I
please
have
check
one
out Cinna.
last thing
Oh,
to say.
okay, okay.
The last thing I have to say is, you aren't subscribed to Kōri-Oujo. What the hell are you doing?
Thank you, Cinna. If you're not subscribed or following Cinna, what are you doing with your life? Clearly, you're not, you know, doing cool things like singing on a dock in 2028. All right. The crickets. Please laugh at my joke. Literature joke.
You just hear a little chirp, chirp.
I know. Darn it. Anyway, thank you, Cinna. But yeah, thank you. We can start. I will start wrapping up. Cause
Yeah.
it is late for me.
It's late for me too. It's like just hit 11 for me.
Oh yeah, you're like a huge night owl, which is super cool.
Yeah.
But
I usually stream late at night because that's the only time nobody's gonna pop in to bug me.
oh, I
It's
see.
the only reason I stream at night, really, because like I help my family with babysitting and stuff, so sometimes I have to go on kid duty.
Oh yeah. How are your cats doing?
My cats are doing good. All my cats are doing good. Uh, they're all pretty healthy, pretty good. I have a video of Joplin I'm gonna put up tomorrow. Instead of a game clip, because I just want to show off my cat playing fetch.
Yay! Oh, that's so cute. Oh yes, please share the cats. I love animals. I love pets. I miss having pets. But
Aw,
heck
well, you'll
yeah.
get to see a hairless little chubby, short-legged fatty cat play fetch with a giant hair tie.
That's oh my god, that sounds like so much fun.
You'll get to see that tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I look forward to it. It's gonna make my day. I can already feel it.
Yippee!
Yippee! Let's go! Thank you, Cinna, for also you're still in your uppies mode, which I appreciate. So cute.
Uppies, uppies, uppies.
So cute.
Uppies.
Yeah. Uppies. TM by trademarked by Cinna. Oh my gosh.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you again, Kōri, for having me on. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you. Yes, let's do it again. I know that I think we have I should know, but I'm pretty sure we have a pod where you're gonna be a guest on the podcast too.
We have a podcast, and I what was it you wanted me to do? What was it? I forget what was the theme again?
Dude, I don't even remember. I think
it
it was
I think it was hot takes.
Yes.
I think it was VTuber hot takes.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I already have a hot take ready for you.
Oh, okay, save it.
I'll
Don't
save
spoil it. Don't spoil it.
I won't spoil it, but don't worry. I have a very good hot take ready that I think you would immediately agree with.
Let's go! I can't wait. Yeah, that's gonna be. I forgot what day I planned that. I know I planned it like so far in
I
advance.
think it's in September is when you plan it.
Yeah, I think so too. That sounds about right. Sorry, everybody. You're gonna have to wait until then to get the hot take.
Yeah, September 23rd.
Oh, let's go! I'm so excited. Yes.
Yeah. I'll be in waifu form when that happens. Sweet.
Yeah, perfect.
You guys will get to see my new me and everything. Yippee!
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna start wrapping up. But thank you again, Cinna. Really appreciate you. Thank you for all your support and kind words too. And I'm so glad that we were able to do this stream together. I've been wanting to do this with you for a while because I think you were like one of the first like people who submitted something or let us read something on stream before. So I'm excited that we got to do this. It was like a long time coming.
I did submit something. I submitted a work I was working on at the time.
Yeah.
During I think it was like again very early when I was like streaming and doing VTubing and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm so happy. And thank you again. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye,
Thank you for the fun
Cinna.
time.
Thank
I'm
you,
gonna hop off
Cinna.
the call, but I shall be in the chat.
Let's go. Thank you, Cinna. Bye-bye. Good night. Bye-bye. The wah. Alright, there you go. Sorry. Wah. Okay, sorry. Yes, let's go. Let me move over here so we can start wrapping up. Let's go. We are over here. Heck yeah. Thank you everybody for hanging out with us today. You're all very much appreciated, and thank you for supporting Cinna and myself. Thank you. Like, how else do you end the call? Okay, how else do you end the stream? Let's be real, except for just absolutely screaming into the mic. All right. Very nice, very nice. Thank you so much, Cinna, for hanging out as well. Thank you for, again, really appreciate you sharing your work and letting us, you know, putting it out there, you know, so really appreciate that. Yes, thank you. And it was a great time. I mean, I know that, like, these streams are interesting because it's not always what I do, but I do love doing these things because, or these streams because of the fact that I don't always do it, and because it's like I like being able to use my degree which I know I use like in my career, but like I like it even more like when I can actually remind myself that this is like what I did for fun, because it's not that fun when it's your career. Let me say it that way. But anyways, yes, thank you everybody, and thank you so much, Cinna, again. I really appreciate you hanging out, being around, and also doing this stream with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope everyone has a wonderful night, and I'll see you guys on Saturday with another stream. Thank you, everyone. Good night. Bye-bye. Good night. Bye-bye. Wow.